every season has that one season-defining moment that sets the tone for perhaps a big playoff push or maybe even a little bit of disappointment. And we might have that on our hands in multiple games for multiple schools tonight. An absolutely monumental week number 10 of Texas high school football, and we are so excited to bring it with you right here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Nick Laupius alongside Ish Johnson. This is a monumental week. There's a buzz in the air, some say even a buzz in our ear, about some of these big showdowns that we have for week number 10.
No, I mean, you're getting arguably the biggest matchups in DFW and the biggest matchups in the Houston area.
Yeah.
You're getting rivalries, right? We'll get to those in a bit as well. And basically, this is the last 2 weeks where you have to make your move, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're making the playoffs, whether you're winning a district title, you're going to be watching from home in November. This is basically, this is it.
Next week, the final season or the final week in the regular season, but we have some really big-time games tonight in our spotlight games as we take a look at that. Like it said, a couple of big-time showdowns in the Houston area. We start out with the Atascocita versus North Shore, Port Arthur and Barbers Hill. We have Port Neches Groves and Nederland, and then Denton Geyer taking on McKinney. Byron Nelson and South Lake Carroll, and Duncanville taking on DeSoto, the 6A champs last year, on a collision course that starts tonight. So some big-time showdowns. These are going to be a lot of fun to keep up with all night long, and a couple of those games actually starting a little bit early, trying to get ahead of the weather situation here across the Lone Star State. But here are a couple of the guys that will be joining us tonight. We have Gavin Moritz on the call for Atascocita versus North Shore. Chase Snyder on the call for Port Arthur Memorial and Barbers Hill. We have Trevor Bullard on the call for Port Neches Groves and Nederland. And then James Triley, who'll be joining us in just a few moments, South Lake Carroll and Byron Nelson. So those are the guys joining us tonight, but huge week number 10 of action here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. And I mean, there are so many, every single one of those games in our spotlight games, just so many implications around those. But if you had to, again, pick one or two that you're going to be devoting a lot of energy to, give us those few.
I think Byron Nelson, South Lake Carroll is going to be one, because I saw Byron Nelson earlier this season, and I was really impressed with them. And after that game, I basically went to our producers and like, hey, this game later in the season is going to matter a lot.
Yeah.
Because South Lake Carroll wasn't going to lose, and it looked like Byron Nelson wasn't going to lose either with their high-powered offense, and I think an improved defense. So that's one. But of course, Duncanville DeSoto, I mean, that's the collision course. Duncanville's owned this rivalry for the past couple years, and so is DeSoto. Is the state championship last year kind of a nice push for them? I believe they haven't won since 2016, I believe. Maybe before that, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it's been kind of one-sided, and so we're hoping kind of recently if it goes the other way.
That's going to be a lot of fun. That game was a little bit delayed. There's a lot of rain going on. We'll see when that one gets started. But one game that moved their start time up a little bit early, that one's already going to the halftime break. We got some highlights. South Lake versus Byron Nelson as we get started. Byron Nelson with the ball, and they'll get a chip shot field goal from Justin Biquette, and that makes it 3-0 Bobcats at NISD Stadium. And then South Lake, fourth down early on. Graham Knowles able to scramble, gets a little bit of time, gets the pass off, and a big conversion on fourth down. That will set up this opportunity, a long field goal attempt for the Dragons as he's able to kick that one through. Ties the game at 3 in the first quarter. Going to the second frame now. This is going to be Sam Fuller, defensive back for South Lake Carroll, as Byron Nelson rolling out a throw. And how about that acrobatic play by Sam Fuller right there with the interception? So a big momentum swing for South Lake Carroll, not able to cash in. Byron Nelson does get the ball back, and it's Pierce Dolan able to make the grab behind the back of the defender for the touchdown. That made it 10-3 at the moment. Byron Nelson up 13-3 at the half. So again, one of those games that you had your eyes on. Byron Nelson with a 10-point lead, as now we welcome in the guys on the call for that game, as we have James Triley and Alex Weister joining us now from NISD Stadium. And guys, this is a huge showdown. Just kind of take us through. Looks like a pretty good start for the Bobcats.
Yeah, this is about everything you could ask for between these teams. I mean, this is probably one of the best games around the DFW Metroplex, and these two teams just have so much going for them. They're both undefeated. They both have tremendous defenses. We talked about the legacy that South Lake Carroll carries into this. Byron Nelson is still fairly new. This is one of their best years that they have, and their defense is really making a statement. The offense is showing up as well, and now they have themselves that 13-3 lead.
Yeah, I guess for me, that was the big question was, can this Byron Nelson defense really compete with the Southlake offense? What have they done so far in the first half that's kept Southlake to just 3 points?
I mean, the defense across the board has been phenomenal. We're seeing the secondary fly around, but not just that, the defensive line have not allowed any running lanes for Southlake Carroll. Every time they get to the line of scrimmage, at least one guy is hitting the running back, and it's been phenomenal. Every part of the defense is flying around, and it's been great for them.
And to me, you look at Tom Von Groot, Byron Nelson's quarterback. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the state. And what have you seen from him so far? He's obviously has a big competitor on the other side, and Grant Knowles as well. I guess from both quarterback perspectives, what have you seen from both of them?
Von Groot's been great. He's 110 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 8 of 11. He's been a bit more effective than Graham Knowles, only 6 of 9 for 39 yards. As we talked about, Byron Nelson's secondary is flying around. Von Groot's just been able to find those holes in the secondary just a little bit better, but I do expect Graham Knowles to come out in the second half, find his weapons who he has across the board, and be definitely a little bit more effective coming out in this second half.
Yeah.
And real quick, we saw that last highlight there, that grab by Pierce Dolan. Kind of take us through on the call on that one. I mean, that looked like a phenomenal grab against the back of the defender.
Yeah, I honestly just said, welcome to week 10. I mean, if that's how you're going to start off, great one-on-one coverage on the play by Southlake Carroll, but an even better play to come down with that one and really just kickstart that offense. And I think that play there by Dolan really turned the tide for Byron Nelson.
Well, it's already off to a great start. Like you said, what a start to week number 10. I know that's going to be a very fun second half. You guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining us here on Texas Football Tonight. Again, that's James Tritley and Alex Weister. That's a nice start for Byron Nelson, but you know Southlake is going to make some really big adjustments there in the second half, and it's going to be a fun ball game.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I was really interested in this game, because I felt like Southlake would give by far Byron Nelson their biggest test on defense. They have a lot of players on defense, a lot of really interesting players you'll be seeing on the next level. But this one was going to come down in the end, I think, to the quarterback battle between Graham Knowles and Thomas Von Groot. Von Groot, who doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's so accurate. I believe both quarterbacks are over 75, or at least above 70% completion this year, as you saw with Von Groot over 100 yards already in the first half. This is going to come down to those two, right? Which ones can kind of make the plays they need to down the field. So I'm really excited. Also, Riley Wormley for Southlake Carroll, the player that just got ruled eligible by the UIL. I believe this is only his second or third game playing. He's a big contributor already. I believe he's over 200, 300 yards on the season just in a couple of games. So he's going to be a big factor. I'm waiting to see if he's maybe somebody that can bust at this Byron Nelson defense. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, a little bit of a different start to the show tonight because a couple of games moving up. But, hey, it's week number 10. We've got some crazy big-time matchups. We got a big-time play in this game as we'll take a look at that. Again, this is week number 10 of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big-name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Of course, last night was when the week actually started. So let's go down to Katy to see Katy Jordan and Katy Tompkins with some highlights on Thursday night action. We're gonna start here in the first quarter. It's gonna be senior running back Caleb Blocker gonna make some moves, get to the left side, sneak in 25-yard touchdown run to put Tompkins up 7-0. Staying here in the first quarter, this is gonna be Zechariah Samples here on the reception from Colin Willits to put Jordan. Oh, what a snag right there. Takes it out of the defender's hands. No one within 10 yards of him as he speeds down for a 58-yard touchdown. Tompkins still has a 14-7 lead. And we're going to stick it right here. This is going to be Wyatt Young right up the middle. And he's just going to go through tacklers and look like everybody stopped. They thought the play was over. It's going to be a 48-yard touchdown, 21-7 Tompkins. On the ensuing kickoff, though, Zechariah Sample is going to have something to say about that. He's going to find a blocker, find a seam, shed off one guy, spin off another, down the left side, good lead block there, and just past his defenders enough. 95 yards to keep it a one-score game. And then Jordan's going to take it into the half, try to take it into the half here. That's Andrew Marcia from Willits, 21 all. Going to try to take it into the break, but Tompkins is going to get the ball back here. This is going to be BC Bello on a 20-yard reception from Wyatt Young, and it's going to be the Falcons that take this into the half. We're going to jump here to the third quarter. It's 28-24 now. Wide open is Reese Phillips from Justin Thierheimer, actually, that was who on the throw. 35-24, and here's Wyatt Young again. Gets to the left side, stiff arms, right down the field, and he's got wheels right there. It's good enough for a 30-yard touchdown. 42-24, Tompkins in the huge Katy clash right here. And guess what? Why not? Let's try it again with Wyatt Young. Pulls the read to the left side, untouched. And this one is all Katy Tompkins. 49-24. I should say Tompkins, by the way. 49-24 over Jordan to take firm control. Let's go to Michael Silvers and Brent Hallmark, who are on the call for that one.
Well, tonight out here at Rhodes Stadium in Katy, we knew coming in that the winner would punch their ticket to the 2023 postseason. They would join Katy and Taylor, who punched their tickets last week as the third member of District 19-6A to play in this year's playoffs. And after the smoke cleared, it was the Tompkins Falcons clinching their sixth straight playoff berth with a 49-24 victory over the Jordan Warriors here tonight.
And what made this game really unique was the first half of the game was totally a finesse game, misdirection, plays that had never been seen before on both sides of the coin. And then in the second half, you saw basically smash mouth football. Both teams were more aggressive coming in, both on offense and defense, and fought until the very last second to see who could claim that third spot.
Tompkins had two 14-point leads in the first half. Jordan fought back, got the game tied at 21, gave up a touchdown late in the first half, 28-21 at halftime, before the Falcons started to separate themselves with their dominant running game.
And that running game was just unstoppable. It looked like at first during the third quarter that the Warriors had an answer for it, but whether they did or not, Caleb Blocker, the star running back for the Falcons, found other ways to use his talents on the sweeps and looking between the guards and the tackles to make his yardage, and he made his presence known on the field.
Senior quarterback for Tompkins, Wyatt Young, in just his third game back from injury. The Falcons had been injured quite a bit during the season, but are starting to get healthy at the right time. He rushed for 3 touchdowns, 230 yards on the ground, added a touchdown passing. Caleb Blocker near 200-yard day with 2 touchdowns. And Tompkins have punched their ticket to the 2023 postseason. But not all hope is lost for Jordan. All they have to do is win next week against the team that came into Week 10 with only 1 win, the Morton Ranch Mavericks. And Jordan, in their second varsity season, will clinch a playoff spot and participate in the postseason.
And that's what they've been fighting for all year. It's just that the injury bug really hit the Warriors at the wrong time, as opposed to the Falcons, who were injured earlier in the season and now are coming out with healthy and fresh players in key positions.
And Jordan are hoping to get their number 1 running back, Chad Gasper, next week in their finale against Morton Ranch. That was the story here tonight from Katy at Road Stadium. Now back to you.
That's a big win for Katy Tompkins as they essentially leapfrog Katy Jordan now into one of those Final Four playoff spots. And, you know, this is a Katy Jordan team that a few weeks ago talked about, hey, maybe they've finally arrived because they took Katy down to the wire.
Yeah.
A couple of losses in a row and a big one last night. But credit to Tompkins because they looked really good.
Yeah, no, Tompkins, I mean, I believe they're now within a half game of Katy Taylor, who was one of those other teams that beat Katy Jordan, I believe, last week, for second place in that district. I believe now that sets up Jordan with a win and get in potentially because they're tied with Cinco Ranch, but I believe they own the tiebreaker over Cinco Ranch next week. So now they're in a win and get in scenario, right? We knew this game was going to be big for the standings as well after last week. And so this just sets up that scenario now. And I believe, or they could also hope by a loss they played Morton Ranch, I should say. So Jordan beats Morton Ranch, gets in, they own the tiebreaker over Cinco Ranch. They could also get in if Cinco Ranch loses, regardless of their scenario, if they lose to Morton Ranch. Yeah. So they have a little bit of their, more or less, it's in their own hands, right? But also if things don't go their way next week, there's a little bit of help if Cinco Ranch loses as well. But of course, they want to keep it in their own hands. And so, unfortunately, the momentum early in the year kind of faded off near the end. But again, that's what these district races are about.
Yep, only a few weeks left. But yeah, we got some more highlights now from another DFW game. Denton Geyer taking on McKinney. Of course, the Lions looking to bounce back with a big win. How about this interesting play call to start things out? You're going to try an onside kick, try and catch Geyer by surprise. Hey, it works. The Lions recover it. So, it looks like a gutsy call, and it pays off for McKinney early on. And they will take advantage on the onside recovery because this is Christian McIntosh who's wide open. The wide receiver strolls into the end zone, gives it a 7-0 lead for McKinney. But Denton Geyer would respond in a hurry as this is going to be Josiah Martin taking it to the house for Denton Geyer. That ties the game at 7. Still in the first quarter, McKinney gets the ball back, and this is going to be Brian Jackson finding the end zone. McKinney has a 14-7 lead at that time. At halftime now, it is 21-14 as we welcome in now Ryan Fox and Mark Barrera. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. How about that start for McKinney with the special teams getting the onside kick and they take advantage, but a really fast start for McKinney?
Right. It was a gutsy call. I mean, and it worked out. Like you saw a touchdown by McIntosh. And that tight end McIntosh for McKinney, he has 2 touchdowns on the night here in the first half. And he had 2 touchdowns all season coming into this game. So they've been using their tight ends and the run game very, very effectively in the first half. And it's kind of been a back and forth affair. They were kind of feeling each other out throughout most of the first quarter. But after a while, both offenses kind of hit their stride. And that's led us now 21-14 We thought it'd be kind of more of a defensive showdown, but ever since then, the offense kind of been trading scores up to this point.
Yeah, and you mentioned McKinney's offense, but Geyer's offense and Josiah Martin, he's been absolutely balling. It's just, I think he's got like 6 catches right now for well over 100 yards. McKinney's defense can't stop him right now.
One of the things I was interested in was Geyer's defense has been really susceptible to the run at times, and of course that's what kind of McKinney likes to do. Is that kind of how they've really established their offensive identity today, is through the run?
Yeah, McKinney's offensive identity today has been through the run, and it's been a lot on the USD commit Brian Jackson. He had a big 54-yard run that set up a 1st and goal to 3 towards the end of the first half when they scored on an 8-yard touchdown pass to Christian McIntrust from Gaspar Wanwihe. But their offense has been run first, and it's been very, very electric. Their offensive line has kind of bullied the Geyer defensive line at times. So they've been, the run game's been very heavy in the first half.
The run game definitely has been heavy, and Geyer game plan for that because the 3 scores that McKinney has scored on have all been from play action, and it's because that Geyer defense keeps setting up to that run to stop Brian Jackson. But once they play action, it's over.
All right, if McKinney wins this game, what has to happen? Or if Denton Geyer wins this game, what has to happen?
Yeah, with Denton Geyer, now both teams have district losses. They have lost, Denton Geyer lost to Prosper, and then McKinney lost to Allen just 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of a toss-up. A lot has to fold out outside of this game as well. But I think the Geyer, especially with their win over Allen, still has a chance to claim a share of the district title. Now, again, with the 6-day split, I think Geyer does have the higher attendance, so that has some factors in it well. But there's a lot of things up in the air, both in this game and what has to happen around the district. I mean, it's kind of all up in the air right now.
Yeah, much like Ryan mentioned, if Geyer wants to win tonight, they definitely have to keep focusing on that pass game. Josiah Martin is basically the story for tonight. He's not being able to be stopped right now. And if McKinney wants to win, they just need to go ahead and keep pushing them with that run with Brian Jackson.
All right, Mark Barrera and Ryan Fox, again, thank you so much for joining us during the halftime break. And that should be a very fun quarters number 3 and 4. So a good start for McKinney.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at, again, I talk about it all the time, but especially these last 2 weeks, the implications on one single game. This is huge for both these teams.
I mean, look, there's also another game in that district with Allen and Prosper going on right now.
Yep.
I think Allen is up 36-30 right now. So these are the 4 teams basically in the playoff hunt right now that are going to be representing this district. I do want to mention, as we look the district standings here, I mean, look at this. 5-0 right now with Prosper. Again, on the losing end right now, I believe that game is in the 4th quarter right now with Allen. Potentially having 3 teams with 1 loss. Obviously, one of Geyer or McKinney's going to lose today. And it's a seeding thing, right? All these teams are in the playoffs, no problem. But it comes down to seeding. It comes down to, of course, D1, D2. But I mean, look, when it comes to this game specifically, Denton Geyer versus McKinney, both games Geyer's lost this year have been from running teams, right? I look back on their losses to Aledo, and then their losses to Allen. Even going back to when Lancaster, I think, pushed them. I don't think they think they beat Allen, but it was a close game. Yep. Almost 200 yards rushing in all of those. I believe Aledo had 303 yards rushing against him. That's what McKinney does, right? God's power and Wanwihe. They mentioned Jackson's back. He was hurt in the beginning of the year. Jatarius Greer. They have so many guys who are able to run the ball for McKinney that I feel like that is basically what they said. The play action pass has been where they've been able to score. Yeah. It's because Geyer knows that we give up the run really easily, so we got to kind of stack the box. So if McKinney wins this game, I think it's going to be because they were able to just keep with their game plan of power run, hit him over the top. And if Geyer wins, I mean, nobody stopped Logan McLaughlin, right? Yeah. Logan McLaughlin's been really good this year. Even Isaac Harney, their backup quarterback, he's been really good. He's over 1,000 yards passing, I believe, as well. And so this is going to be an offensive showdown. I mean, it's right now, we saw the score, 21-14, right at the half. It's going to be something like that in the 40s, 30s, or 40s, both teams going forward.
Man, how much fun is this? I mean, we started a little bit early here for week number 10. A couple of these games get moved up. We've got already some exciting highlights. So we got something fun here. Bay City and Iowa Colony. Oh, that's a dropped pass, or I guess a pass and then a fumble, and then the defense recovers it, taking it back inside the 25. So again, we get a little bit of an early start here because we have so much action to squeeze in. How about some more? Why not?
Yeah, here's one of our spotlight games.
Yep.
We got the Memorial and Barber's. Oh, good defensive play there.
Almost mossed him.
I was about to say, almost caught off the side of his helmet, looked like.
Well, we already saw that catch in the Byron Nelson Southlake game, catching it behind the back of the defender. So we'll see how many more highlight kind of plays we see tonight across the Lone Star State. Again, thank you so much for joining us. It is such an exciting week number 10 of high school football. We're with you all the way here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man and including private schools. Head to texasfootball.com, go to the awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A in private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
Welcome back to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Of course, so much great action across the Lone Star State tonight for week number 10. But like Ish mentioned a little bit ago, week 10 started last night as we'll take you to another Thursday night showdown. Cy Wood taking on Cy Springs, and a big Thursday night game as we take you to the first quarter. How about the first play? We've seen a few of these before, and this is going to be the running back Brandon, 103 yards to the house. He makes it look easy as he takes it 103 yards, and you can't ask for a better start for Cy Woods. They go up 7-0 on the 103-yard kickoff return by Brandon. Staying in the first quarter, Cy Woods with it again. It's going to be Bryant Thomas, 33 yards to the house. 14-0, a dream start for Cy Woods as you're trying to get something going. If your Cy Springs, they get it going here with Harrison Mass, 5 yards, able to run into the end zone, so the quarterback able to use the speed on the ground to get into the end zone, makes it 14-7. Cy Wood responds quickly though as they are scoring in a hurry in this opening quarter. Bryant Thomas, this time he'll go for 75 yards as he has his second touchdown of the opening quarter. 21-7 Cy Woods, and we're going to stay in that first quarter because we had a lot going on in that opening frame on Thursday night showdown as you have Cy Springs trying to get back into this game. Timothy Saunders, he's going to go a 4-yard jaunt into the end zone, 21-14. Finally, we get to go into the second quarter this time as it's going to be Harrison Mass connecting with Paris Melvin for 21 yards, and Cy Springs ties the game at 21 apiece in the second quarter. This is going to be a 37 attempt for Rafael Herrera, and he's able to split the uprights 24-21. Cy Springs now on top in the second quarter. They didn't waste a whole lot of time going into the second and a half, now into the third quarter. This is going to be Kyler Singletary, 56 yards. Look at that speed as he makes the grab from Aiden Horton and makes it a 28-27 game in the third quarter. It's Herrera again, 37 yards. It's good. Cy Springs with the comeback. They win 30-28. I mean, I'm out of breath just kind of recapping that one. I can't believe imagine how the players feel after that kind of game, but that is a huge comeback for Cy Springs as they were down 21-7 at one point and able to get the win. And again, always like to give a little bit of love to special teams, to the kickers, Ralphia Herrera with a couple of big field goals there at the end of that contest.
Yeah, I believe that game makes it now a little bit difficult for Cy Woods to get in the playoffs now. I believe Cy Ranch takes over that fourth place spot, and I think Cy Woods is also idle, so I do think they're kind of out of the race there in District 16 6A, unfortunately for them. But because we got started early, it meant there were games going on early thanks to the weather, and one of them we have in the half is Flower Mound and Campbell. So let's go to first half highlights from that one up here in the DFW. We're going to jump right in the first quarter. This is going to be quarterback Edward Griffin for Campbell, unbeaten Cowboys, I should mention, scanning the field, very patient. Look at that fake, roll the pocket out, wide open. Baron Tipton, that's there for the 17-yard touchdown to put Campbell in a commanding lead very early. We're going to stick it here in the first quarter, and it's going to be Griffin again. Again, clean pocket, offensive line doing its job. That's going to be Tucker Casano for a 20-yard score. Again, all Campbell in this one. They're unbeaten for a reason. Second quarter, working down the field again. Griffin steps up into the pocket, moves up, is going to run. Now he's going to find a man deep, keeps his eyes downfield, wide open. Great throw to Arian Sneed, 35 yards, and you guessed it, Campbell again with 19 seconds left. This is Bryson Patton on a 43-yard field goal. Full sends it, 3 points into the half, 38-0 Campbell right now, all over Flower Mound. I mean, a historic run right now for Campbell. I believe they're 21st in the state right now. Antonio Wiley knows what to do with those guys, and they're showing that it really doesn't matter that the playoffs are sealed, the district's kind of sealed. It doesn't matter. They're still playing.
How about you don't see very often a 40-plus yard field goal made at the high school level. That's pretty impressive.
I was about to. You see college kickers miss that all the time. So of course we got to give the love to Bryson Patton for hitting that one before the half.
Man, I know we're just. We started early. I'm just so amped up.
We jumped right into it.
We have so much going on.
For those watching now, we would be starting now.
Yeah, and so we've got now the true quad box. And how about a big play here? Byron Nelson looks like an interception.
Yes, that is a pick.
Up by 10, and looked like it was a bobbled ball, and the defensive back able to make the play as the Bobcats get it back.
That looked like number 2, Jonathan Cabella for Byron Nelson there on the pick.
That's that's one of the biggest games in the program history for Byron Nelson. I went to Byron.
Yeah, I was about to say you're an alum. So when have you remembered a game like this?
No, not to where you get a matchup like this, 2 undefeated teams going up. It's something like that, and to play Southlake at home. Have a nice lead. I'm sure NISD Stadium is rocking, but, of course, the Dragons, they're going to have a very effective second half.
Speaking of historic games, you want to talk about one of the biggest rivalries, probably arguably the biggest rivalry in the state, Mid-County Madness here.
There we go.
P&G, Port Neches Groves, and Nederland. This is the 100th edition, I should mention.
Wow.
And so this is a game that doesn't literally, this is one of the throw the records out games, right? Because one team, I know P&G almost, they went to state last year. They barely beat Nederland by 1 possession last year, right? Wow. It's one of those games where it doesn't matter. I believe P&G's won 4 of their last 5. The last one was Nederland on a 21-point comeback back in 2021. So when I was doing a little bit of research, by the way, Matt Fay of the Beaumont Enterprise, I got this number from him. 46 of the 99, now 100 obviously, but 46 of the previous 99 were decided by 1 score, right? So this is a game that it doesn't matter how good the teams are heading in. It's something, and by the way, I believe this sold out within a couple of days with tickets going on sale. I will say one of the cool nuggets that I found from reading a little bit of the Beaumont Enterprises build up to it, they have a Spirit Week like a lot of schools do. But they have something called, I believe it's on Thursday or Wednesday, it's something called Nerd Day, where you dress the worst as possible in the other team's colors, right? And so they wear crazy overalls and glasses while P&G wears gold from Nederland, so things like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Apparently both schools do that, so it's actually kind of a cool tradition.
Well, I mean, when you have 100 matchups against the same team. That's pretty cool. You get that bad blood going. I like that, though, the Spirit Week.
I was about to say, that's kind of cool. It's like dress as badly as you can wearing the other people's colors. I love that.
That runs deep. That runs deep over that. That's really cool. Hey, that's just, again, one of the many things that make Texas high school football just so cool, so 100%. Unique to follow. Is, again, we're looking at some of these games. We saw a big play earlier, Bay City and Iowa Colony. That one's a 7-0 Bay City lead. Byron Nelson, of course, had that interception just moments ago. Going back into this one, and we were looking at a few of the DFW games, but as you were talking about, and this is huge down there in the Houston area, North Shore and Atascocita.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it feels like, as we're seeing, North Shore taking off here.
On cue.
Oh, man. It's going to be a close to double-digit lead for North Shore, but, man, as we see, I believe, I'm trying to get a number on that exactly. But regardless, that was Caleb Bailey. Okay, so that was Caleb Bailey. Okay, I'm hearing in my ear that was Caleb Bailey, the quarterback. Well, that's interesting because one of my keys to this game was his running ability. He hasn't been run that much this year. Mm-hmm. He has the ability to run, but whether or not they've been kind of holding him back or he just hasn't been under pressure or not, there hasn't been many designed runs, things like that, as you're seeing the stats now. Freshman last year and just goes into an incredible season, and obviously they came up just short against Duncanville. But I mean, a freshman in 2021 he was, and he led them to the state championship as a freshman. And it's just a guy who's gotten better every single year, right? He's that's Keelan Russell I'm thinking of, is the SMU commit. He's an uncommitted guy right now for 2025. But he's still, regardless, he's somebody who, as you see the passing numbers, can pass the ball, make any throw. But it's been his running ability that's been, again, a little hidden this year. I think Willie Gaston's done the smart thing by maybe not showing his running ability, showing what that offense can do when he is asked to do a little bit more designed runs. As you saw there, he's able to burn a lot of future Power 5 players in the Atascocita defense with his legs. So I do like that we come in on a run touchdown because one of my keys to the game right now is he hasn't been run this season. Is the run game going to play a factor?
Right on cue. It looks like it is.
Yeah.
As we'll take a look at this one again, Barbers Hill, Port Arthur Memorial, as Port Arthur trying to get back into the end zone. And
oh, good.
Wow, that was a nice play.
One-on-one move there.
That was nice to field the ball. It was a low throw.
Yep.
Keep the knees up.
Yes.
Made the grab, and then able to kind of spiral into the end zone there.
That's going to be 10-7, Port Arthur Memorial. Over a Barbers Hill team that was also on this network as well. We saw them earlier this year, I believe, in a loss to LaPorte, I believe. But this is an offense that can definitely get going at any time as well.
Now again, PNG putting up a field goal up by 10 to start there in that second quarter. Bay City still up 7-0, and Byron Nelson, after that interception, marching in there just outside of the 25-yard line, slow and methodical, trying to get an even bigger lead, up by 10 right now on the South Lake Dragons.
Yeah, Byron Nelson, I mean, again, no, I'm not just saying this because you're in a lot. Right? I saw them earlier in the year when they played McKinney Boyd, and they really, really impressed me because
that one was deflected and almost picked off.
But this was going to be their biggest test, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why after I saw them blow up McKinney Boyd, I was like, okay, I don't think I have to pay attention to them until October, till late October.
And that was like, week 2 or 3 that you saw?
Yeah, it was week 2. Yeah. But it showed that their schedule wasn't exactly that difficult, and outside of this game, their district wasn't that difficult.
Yeah.
And so I figured we were on a collision course here. Of course, like you mentioned, South Lake Carroll is the big bad bully on the block. Yeah. You can't talk mess until you knock off South Lake Carroll. And they've been just fine. Like Graham Knowles has been really fantastic for them. Of course, we mentioned 1,800 yards passing, I think, for him this year. 75%, I wanted to get that number right. 75% completion for him and 76 for Von Grote on the year. So 2 guys who just know how to spread the ball around and really get these high-powered offenses going. I do also want to give a little bit of shout-out to Byron Nelson's backup quarterback, Grant Bizjack. So a lot of people don't know. They will know his name very soon. He's their backup quarterback, and they use him in some interesting packages. He has 330 rushing yards on the year and 3 touchdowns, 8 yards a carry. So he's used very, very smartly by this team, just to give him a different dimension as we take a look back on Mid-County Madness as Nederland tries to get back. Oh, swing pass, almost there. But no, this is a game legitimately has one I've been very excited about. And so I'm very glad that we were able to have it here on Texan Live.
An update on one of those other marquee games, DeSoto and Duncanville. Sounds like the rain's still coming down pretty heavily. That one's still not starting.
Yeah.
So, of course, we'll keep you updated on that one. I mean, that is going to be when those two teams are eventually able to kick off, and that is going to be an absolute slugfest between last year's 6A champions. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see how that goes. But again, like we show every week, we always like to show the behind the scenes of what it's like for this dedicated Dave Campbell staff who travels all throughout the great state of Texas. Let's take a look at the latest edition of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Vlog.
What's up, y'all? It is week 9 of the Texas high school football season. I'm here in beautiful Corpus Christi, Texas for a huge Thursday night game at Buck Stadium between Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial and Corpus Christi Miller. The District 14 5A Division I title should be on the line. Should be a big crowd tonight at Buck Stadium. Local TV is going to be there. It's going to be a big atmosphere, and I'm excited to be in the 3-6-1. But first, got to grab a little pregame meal. I'm here at La Playa, one of my favorite Tex-Mex spots in Corpus Christi. Gonna get me some fajitas with cheese and bacon and pico, all things that I like. It's gonna go down. A little pregame meal, La Playa, Corpus Christi, Texas. Let's go.
Just got to Buck Stadium in Corpus Christi. When you're covering a game with palm trees, it's gonna be a good day. Huge game here at beautiful Buck Stadium. Going through pregame. Oh no, Jason made another one. We got Veterans Memorial going through pregame. Wrapping up here from Buck Stadium in Corpus Christi on a Thursday night. Corpus Christi Miller improves to 8-0 with a 59-40 win over Corpus Christi Vets in front of a crowd of over 10,000 fans here at Buck Stadium in Corpus. It was a great night in South Texas. I'm going to get a little sleep and get ready for Friday night football back in San Antonio. All right, I'm here Friday night here at Cole High School in San Antonio, which for those of you who don't know is located on Fort Sam Houston, an Army installation here in the beautiful city of San Antonio for tonight's game between Cole and Randolph. And for those of you who don't know, this is the Texas high school football version of Army versus Air Force. You see Cole out there in the green, located on the Army base. Randolph in the blue is located on Randolph Air Force Base. The student athletes in this game are all children of soldiers and airmen, and they all live or work on the base. So, very unique game here in Texas high school football. Should be a fun night tonight. Saturday evening, walking into Ferris Stadium in San Antonio. We got a huge game in 29-6A. 7-0 Harlan, 7-0 Jay. District lead on the line. Should be a fun one here in San Antonio. Let's get it on.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big-name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep in Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Campbell's Texas football tonight. Byron Nelson up by 10, looking for more, looking to take advantage off of the interception earlier, going to the end zone, right at the pylon, and the Bobcats expand their lead. A big touchdown in the third quarter-ish. How about those Bobcats?
Yeah, man. I mean, come on. That's just that's a great throw from Von Grote there. But yeah, I mean, they are really locked in the zone right now.
Now we go down to the Houston area. Tascasita trying to get back. Oh, wide receiver falls, and here we go. Taking it to the house. It's a pick six for North Shore. A couple of scores in a hurry for North Shore.
All of a sudden, it's not who you want to be down a couple scores to a team that's represented 6A in the state title game for multiple years now.
Wow, so a huge swing, and taking a look at, I mean, those standings there, North Shore again trying to cement another run perhaps to Arlington, but they get a big swing because you were talking about the run game. As we saw, that came to fruition, and then the pick six. But right now we're taking a look at how these teams stack up. But North Shore is saying, to heck with that. We're taking control tonight.
Yeah, I believe that was Devin Sanchez on the interception. Of course, an emerging recruit coming out of the class of 2025. He'll be on some radar. I mean, he is on some radars right now. But as you're seeing, a very balanced attack from both teams, really. That's kind of why this one was really anticipated, probably along with Katy, of course, the kind of the three pillars of Houston area football. And so far right now, I mean, not the start that Atascocita wanted. Definitely not at all.
Yeah, so North Shore controlling things. We got some more highlights coming your way, though, as we're getting back into the DFW area. We got Hebron taking on Plano West. So we take a look at some of those first half highlights. Oh, wait, no, we got something from Byron Nelson again. Wow. Back-to-back pick sixes right here on the show.
Sidelines for Byron Nelson.
Oh, my goodness.
Crazy right now.
Wow, and I don't know if it was ever that packed when I was going to games there. But wow, so Byron Nelson goes up 20-3, and just like that, they grab another six on the pick six.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, oh my goodness, as you're seeing now with the district standings. I mean, both these teams took care of business. I believe Byron Nelson recently played Keller, beat them 67-3, and then of course they beat Timber Creek earlier this season 63-26, and of course South Lake Carroll took care of business against all those teams as well. So this is a de facto district championship game. Long story short, right? This is if Byron Nelson wins here, they are they basically get the district title. So
that's 2 interceptions now for that Byron Nelson defense too.
Yes,
I believe, or is it 3? I think it's 2. I think
might be two. Yeah. Regardless, it is a defense that's full of playmakers. I mean, I'll just put it this way, I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing because I knew they'd be tested. I knew they were good, but this good is something. I'm really loving it right now.
So now that's all of a sudden 27-3 in favor of Byron Nelson. But again, right before we were going to that, I was talking about this one, Hebron taking on Plano West. Let's take you into the first quarter. This time they're able to connect as Hebron, that's Patrick Creighton Jr., able to find his man who makes a move down the sideline. That's 45 yards on the play. That time for Hebron in scoring position as Creighton, the quarterback, is just going to drag that defender into the end zone. The first score of the game belongs to Hebron. Now Plano West trying to respond with a score of their own. This receiver gets a little bit of separation, and that is Jordan Grant connecting with Grayson Grant, who turns on the Jets and goes into the end zone. That's his 4th touchdown of the season. He's only got 8 receptions on the year, but 4 of those have been able to find pay dirt. Going into the second quarter, a 7-7 tie. Hebron has it around midfield, and this is going to be Creighton again showing off the speed. Gets inside, gets a lot of space, gets into the end zone. That's a 45-yard run, and that gives Hebron the lead again, 14-7 to Plano West. Again, responds, and that is just a perfectly placed throw. Jordan Grant just dropping it in to Anthony Calhoun. That is a 14-14 tie at the half.
As we go quad box now.
But yeah, this is true quad box. We got a game in every block now.
Yeah.
As Geyer and McKinney, of course, we were talking about that one a little bit earlier. McKinney, gutsy to start off the game with an onside kick. They recover it, they score, and they take a 21-14 lead into the half. And now it looks like they're driving and threatening for more.
Looks like that aggression is going to pay off soon. Yeah, with this potentially this drive right here.
Mm-hmm. This is what we like to see right here.
Yes, it's kind of the show.
Yeah,
basically how we like to work.
Oh, exactly. So. I know the fans love it at home too. Hey, it's week number 10 of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Again, thank you so much for joining us through. This has been such a fun endeavor. As we're just able to bring all the action to y'all at home, all in one centralized location. It's been a lot of fun seeing some of the very best across the Lone Star State. As it looks like McKinney lining up, I believe, for a field goal, but we got here. Yeah, so a couple of quick scores for North Shore, but Atascocita wasting no time getting back on the scoreboard. And again, still a lot of time. There's 8:28 to go in the second quarter.
Torrey Blaylock, emerging running back, class of 2025, is having a big year for them. Man, that's exactly what they needed. They needed a quick answer, and that's exactly what they got.
You know, it's always going to be tough coming back when you're down multiple possessions to North Shore, but Atascocita, and again, so much time, not even at the halftime break yet. You're just barely into the second quarter. That's, like you said, exactly what they needed. Just a quick strike back into the end zone, get momentum back on your side, make it a 23-13 game with 8:28 to go in that second quarter. We got
looks like South Lake Carroll there across the midfield at the bottom there, trying to inch their way across. I saw one Graham Knowles had a long scramble, got chased out of the pocket there by that front four, for Byron Nelson. Looks like he's gonna get across.
Maybe just enough.
First down. Yeah, looks like just enough. They're moving the chains.
Yeah, so again, a little bit surprising. Byron Nelson up 27-3, but you can never count out South Lake. And again, this second half just getting underway, and that's a South Lake offense that can put up points in a hurry.
Yeah, no, 100%. As you're seeing, I think the top is
Port Arthur, Barbers Hill.
Getting this one.
It's a 21-10 lead for Barbers Hill. We had PNG had the 10-3 lead. So that one is approaching the halftime break. And then South Lake and Byron Nelson, of course, that one will be fun throughout the rest of the night. And it looked like one of our other marquee matchups might not be taking place tonight. Duncanville and DeSoto. No, they've been battling a lot with the weather so far tonight.
Yeah, I know that one is basically looking on the chopping block. I know that neither school really benefits from basically it's like if you look at it on paper, like neither school really, they're going to be playing for state and all that stuff. So both schools are like, kind of. So right now it's looking like the weather's not going to permit them to play today, and I don't think either team's going to want to play tomorrow either. I know DeSoto has an early game next week. I believe they play Thursday, so that may have something to influence it as well. So again, that's kind of the logistics that goes into it. When the district's kind of settled, you can kind of make some of these business decisions based, of course, primarily based on weather. It feels perfect weather they'd be playing right now.
Oh, of course. So. Yeah, it's kind of a shame because we really haven't had to deal with a whole lot of bad weather throughout the season.
Sure, yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
To kind of have it week number 10, these big matchups, it's a bit of a tough break, but again, we'll see. We got a lot of great games in action tonight, and we'll keep you updated on all that action as we are well into the thick of things for week number 10 right here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man, and including private schools. Head to texasfootball.com, go to the awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A in private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
We've got no time to waste. Let's get right into Strake Jesuit versus Pearland into the first quarter. This is Pearland's LaDamian McDowell finding some daylight, getting inside the 10 to the 5, stretches out just short, but 2 plays later, able to find the end zone, and that gives Pearland the 7-0 lead. So a couple of big runs by LaDamian McDowell to start things off for Pearland going into the second quarter. This is going to be Cole Morkotsky faking the handoff and finds Logan Johnson on the bootleg. All of a sudden, it's 21-0 Pearland sticking in the second quarter. Jesuit able to find the end zone from about a yard out, 21-7, and LaDamian McDowell again able to take the handoff, breaking through a couple of tacklers, hits the move right there and finds the end zone for his second touchdown of the night, 28-7 Pearland.
All right, Cy Park and Cy Falls. This is going to be a Cy Falls highlight with Kai Calicote running out of the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield. He's going to find a Johnny Carlisle wide open behind the defense. He's going to follow his blocker, cut back into the inside. 7-0 early Cy Falls after that touchdown. We're going to go Wildcat formation with Trey Morris here. Cy Falls punch it in himself. 14-0 after the big boy power move right there as you see the line clearing way. We're going to keep it with Cy Falls here. It's going to be Noah Allen Cuellar fielding this punt as he lets it take a bounce there. And he's going to go to the left, avoid a tackler, keep going down to the left, follow his blockers, and look at this. He's going to reverse field all the way to the other side from left to right as Cy Falls is up 21-0 in the first quarter, 14-0 in the first quarter. That was actually brought back, unfortunately. But Kai Calicote again is going to find Chase Farrell for an easy touchdown. Now it is 21-0 after that one as we see Byron Nelson here about to get their points scored, potentially on them for the South Lake Carroll driving down the field.
27-9 at the moment.
Ooh,
whoa!
It looks like he barely punched that in. That was Graham Knowles with the courageous run there to get the Dragons their second score of the game.
That was heads up to get the ball just across the pylon. Took the big hit, but made the play.
Yep.
Going back here, we saw Atascocita just getting on the board quickly, as this is perhaps a game of runs. North Shore, a couple of quick scores. They might have another one here.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow. Just you can't place it any better.
I was about to say, that was just a perfectly placed. That's Terrence Gilroy,
oh my
senior
goodness.
wideout. Calm everybody down. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. I got this.
Wow.
My goodness, that's a perfect throw from Caleb Bailey in stride. Perfect route too from Gilroy, who was able just to catch that in stride right over the defender. I didn't see who he caught that over, but just like that, after Atascocita punches him in the mouth, North Shore says, all right, we're good, game on.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
Extra point attempt to make it 30-14 with still, the last 3 scores I think we've seen have happened in the last 3 minutes or so of game time.
Feels like that, yeah. We're not even halftime yet.
Yeah, the last score we saw for Atascocita was about 8 minutes left in the second quarter. So yeah, it's not wasting any time. We take a look at the 2A Division II scores, some of the top teams. Ish, anything standing out there?
Not really. I mean, Munster's kind of hanging around with Collinsville right there, but it looks like everybody else is kind of taking care of business in the top 10.
And again, just a few weeks left, keeping you updated on everything Texas high school football. This is a big day, not only on the field, but we had Snapshot Day today, where schools are starting to report in their numbers and seeing where everyone's going next year during realignment.
Yeah, it'll be February when everybody figures out the new district realignments. Of course, this is also when you start seeing some strategic sick days from some schools. Like, hey, we're two kids from going 6A. Why don't you just stay home tomorrow? It's like it's one of those things. No, but of course, there's a lot of data and all that goes into that. But today's when you see the numbers start to come out, and then of course the actual districts and the actual new classifications will come out in February, which is always a huge time for us at Dave Campbell's.
And going back, that play we saw just a moment ago in the Southlake game, outstretching, taking the hit at the goal line, was on the 2-point conversion for Southlake. Makes it 27-11.
There you go.
That point in PNG, now up 17-3 on Nederland there in the second quarter. Taking a look at some of those scores. Barbers Hill up 21-10 right now on Port Arthur Memorial, still in the second quarter of that contest.
It's like Southlake was able to force a punt for Byron Nelson. They get the ball back, and it's a big return here. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's about to cross midfield.
He's got blockers.
Oh, tripped up there.
Oh.
But that is a huge, huge start to this next drive.
Again, you can never count out Southlake. Byron Nelson had all the momentum, had the long drive on the score, then the pick 6, but Southlake, like they're known to do, they, point up points in a hurry.
Yep.
Going
As you're seeing, it looks like Barbers Hill is about to drive and on the verge of scoring again inside the red zone. Again, this is an offense. I mean, Cody Fuentes, we talked about him before when they played LaPorte. He spreads the ball around a lot, right? He has a really good deep ball. He's mobile enough. Looks like actually going to settle for a field goal. But regardless, this is a Barbers Hill team that's really well coached, and Carl Absek's done a really good job there in his first couple years of building them into a playoff contender. Looks like it's easy money. 24-10.
And again, we've seen a couple of some of the highlights from last night. Campbell game, a 40-plus yard field goal that was made. We've seen some good special teams so far tonight. A nice punt return just a second ago in that Southlake game. And so again, it's a little bit of a bummer that big showdown between Duncanville and DeSoto looks like won't be being played tonight. But the rest of these spotlight games so far holding up to the billing that we were talking about at the start of the show. And I think, good call to start the show early. A couple of those games starting early, and we've had just so much action to try and keep up on tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Hey, you have this week and the next week the last week of the regular season. So, these teams desperate trying to get into a playoff spot or just try to get all that playoff positioning that you would like. So we have looked like a flag down there in that Southlake game.
Either a false start, probably because it looked like a dead ball. As we switch over to Mid-County Madness, looks like PNG has the ball back just outside the red zone as we go to the announcer audio.
If you keep them out of the first down, it's a pretty long field goal.
I don't know if Blanco is going to be able to hit that. Play fake. Bailey over the middle. Incomplete.
They were trying to get it to Richard. And there it is. They stop them. 4th and 5. And looks like they're going to bring out the kicking unit.
So we're saying
28-yard line, 38-yarder.
Yeah. Well, that's
definitely doable.
That's definitely doable. We've already seen a 40-yarder tonight, but that came from Nederland as the kick is up, and he got it.
Nice kick, plenty of distance. They do get 3 out.
All right, so that's talking a little bit earlier about Spirit Week and the Mid-County Madness. Always cool when you get those rivalries like that have now been playing 100 times.
I believe started in the 1920s and still goes on to this day. again, I mentioned it. PNG is a team on a mission to get back to AT&T. They had a special senior class last year that graduated a lot of players, but guys like Isaiah Nguyen are back in the back. I believe back as quarterback. I believe he's playing quarterback this year. He's a running back for them last year. Big contributors that are looking to now get back, of course. But of course, you're running up against. I mentioned this was a one-score game last year.
Yeah.
Even though the PNG went on to be a state finalist, the state runners-up, they still had to get through their arch rival. And so Nederland would love nothing more, as you're seeing now. PNG is a running team, and this is how they got to state last year. It's how they want to get back to state. And as you can see, they have no issues scoring. This is not a plotting running team, I should say. This is a very, very effective run game led by Isaiah Nguyen, who, by the way, is playing running back, I should mention. It was Shea Adams who was converting from running back to quarterback, who unfortunately I believe is out for, has been out for a couple weeks now. As you see in Nederland, a little bit more of a balanced attack, but still definitely leans run and passes only really have to. Less of a scoring explosion, but still effective as ever.
Yeah.
All right, so
we got more highlights, I think, Ish.
we do got more highlights. Let's go to the Austin area. How's that sound?
I like it.
Austin versus Lake Travis. We're going to start here. Chaston Dita, who's in for the injured Caden Leone, he's going to find Josiah Thomas in the end zone early at Cavalier Stadium. It's going to be Dita again rolling out. Doesn't look too bad for a backup, as you're going to find Dylan Colors deep behind the defense. He's going to walk in the end zone 14-0. And it's all Lake Travis so far. And oh no, botches the snap. Austin High can't get out of there, and he's tried to throw it away, but the Cavalier defense all over him. 25-yard loss, and that's going to set up, again, the Cavaliers, led by Dita. He's going to be under pressure, but it looks like Caden Leone there running to the right, eluding pressure. Can he get to the end zone? Yes, he can. Look at that scramble right there from the backup. 21-0 Lake Travis right now. Looks like the offense hasn't missed a beat with Dita behind center. Is going to be a read option. Oh my goodness, Nico Hamilton right through the middle of the defense, right through to the end zone. 28-0, all Lake Travis right now.
All right, we got Bridgeland taking on Cy Lakes. For Bridgeland, the Bears trying to get something going. Jet Lewis with the grab, and he's able to go the distance as he shows off the speed. A couple of guys diving at him, not able to get there, but Lewis with the catch and run to the end zone. And that gets Bridgeland a quick score, up 7-0. Cy Lakes looking to respond. There's going to be Theo Fields finding the catch and gets a nice gain for about 30 yards for Cy Lakes. Unfortunately, not able to cash in after that big play. Bridgeland would get it back later in the first quarter. Mason Simmons able to go up. What a grab. Acrobatic play that time by Mason Simmons, going airborne for the grab. Bridgeland looking to take advantage. This time it's Alan Collier getting the handoff, and he takes it to the end zone. Oh, wait, no, this is going to be another catch. How about that? Bobble in the catch.
Off the face mask.
Wow, that's impressive. Bridgeland back on the board. They go up 21-0 there in the second quarter. So we take a live look at McKinney and Geyer, and the Lions pouring it on now in the third.
I'm telling you, this running game for them, this is a multiple option running attack. They mentioned Jackson, who missed the first couple games, or he was injured in the first game against Longview, missed a couple weeks and has been back, and they hadn't really missed him. Obviously, you would love a USC commit. I'm not saying they didn't need him, but they hadn't missed him, right? God's power in one way, he at quarterback is a nice changeup from Jeremiah Dowd. But they still had Jatavius Greer as well, who had over 300 yards. Kali Best at wide receiver. This is a multiple faceted offense that loves just to absolutely pound teams into the dust. And as you're seeing now, I mentioned it, that Geyer defense, where they've been gotten this year, as you're seeing now. Maki Frazier, I mean, this defense as well, they've been putting together a really, really impressive season. And this is, I mean, last year we thought McKinney was kind of reaching their, I won't say their apex, but it looked like they were reaching their best under Marcus Shavers. This year looks like they're even better. 7-1. Of course, they start off with a win over Longview. Disappointing loss to Allen a couple weeks ago. But as you're seeing, here are Maki Best's highlights right now. That defense that's been really doing really, really well. Aside from that Allen game where they gave up 31, that's the only game, as you're seeing now, that's the only game where they've allowed one of 3 games, I should say, where they've only allowed over 20 points. Everything else has been 14, 7, 10, 13, 14, right? And as you're seeing now, against a really good Denton Geyer offense, holding them in check pretty much as well. So both sides of the ball really working well. Of course, they're establishing themselves on the offensive end, and of course, Maki Best, their linebacker, just kind of controlling things on defense.
Yeah, it's big for McKinney. Like you said, a bit of a disappointing loss to Allen a couple of weeks ago, but it looks like a nice bounce back against Denton Guyer.
Yep.
And that's been a fun district to keep up with all season
Yeah, I was
long.
about to say, I was trying to find
Prosper and Allen.
I was just trying to find the Prosper Allen score because I saw that Allen took the lead after Prosper had the lead for a while. So that's one. I believe that was a final 37-36. Prosper looked like they held on to that
Wow.
one. So again, all of a sudden, Prosper is now the lone unbeaten team.
We just saw
did I miss
a
something there? I
huge
might have missed
play in
something
the
here.
South Lake Byron Nelson game. Looks like it's going to be a dragon touchdown. It was a 50-50 ball.
Oh, man.
Right in the end
I was
zone.
about to say, tie usually goes to the offense. It looks like the defender's going to lose that one. The refs usually side with the receiver there when it comes to.
I tell you, they're bringing all the referees in. Yeah, and there we go. A touchdown for South Lake in the fourth quarter. The Byron defense not happy about it, but South Lake Carroll, again, can never count them out, and that's a couple of quick scores for the Dragons.
How about this? So I'm looking at the Prosper Allen. So that was 37-36 Allen. Prosper had a sack with 9 seconds left, and Allen was penalized, and there was a 10-second runoff. So they didn't get the 9 seconds, and so it was a runoff, and so Prosper was able to win. So Allen actually penalized themselves out of getting that last-second shot. So huge for Prosper, who's now unbeaten. After I said it was looking like they were potentially going to lose that game, and now have a four-way kind of one-loss scenario. Looks like they may be able to walk to a district championship now.
Man, how about Prosper? They've really kind of burst onto the scene this year. They had that big win in one of our spotlight games early in the year with Denton Guyer, and they got that win at home. That one went down to the wire. Prosper able to hold on for that win, and now a huge win tonight against Allen.
I'll just say this: they get McKinney next week.
Oh, wow.
So you want some fun. All right? They end the year with, Allen and McKinney in back-to-back weeks.
Wow.
So that is going to be a fun matchup. Potentially, we'll see if the tiebreaker, potentially for, there's going to be potentially a three-way tie for the district title if that goes, if I'm thinking of this correctly. No, because Allen has beaten McKinney.
No,
So I think it would come down to, whatever the tiebreaker is between McKinney and Prosper, I have no idea. I don't know.
And of course, that comes down to the last week of the regular season, as it should be. It just sets up a little bit of extra drama to what was already.
Script writers are doing a great job.
Exactly. And how about the writers in this game? Let's go back
Brown
here.
Fumbled there.
So South Lake went for two, and Byron Nelson looked like they got the stop. So they keep a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. A big stop for Byron Nelson, trying to hold on now.
Yeah, this one's speeding by because this one had a little bit of an earlier start. So this one is already in the fourth quarter. South Lake having to chase points a little bit. Some people may say, they're going for two already. I was like, it's in the fourth quarter, so you got to kind of do as much as you can to get that to an 8-point lead, kind of shrink it as much as you can. As you're seeing, it looks like Denton Guyer now trying to drive the ball, and it looks like they're in McKinney territory already.
That one in the third. McKinney with the 35-14 lead. So take a look, North Shore and Atascocita. That one looks like in a timeout. Atascocita with the ball inside North Shore territory, though, and that one has been back and forth. But taking a look now, going back to North Shore and Atascocita. In the final 9 seconds of the first half, we'll see what Atascocita draws up. What will probably be the last play of the half, depending on what they do. Throw something to the sideline, try and set up perhaps a field goal attempt. Maybe take a shot to the end zone. We'll see. Yep, they're going to take the shot to the end zone. Here we go.
Brown has a little bit of an arm. Oh, let me get one more. Let's see how much seconds came off the clock. They're going to get two? Okay, they're going to get two, looks like. One more shot. Zion Brown gets the call in from the sideline, seeing if he's going to get one more shot. Testing his arm strength there. Of course, the other thing is you don't want to get hurt on like a jump, like a true jump ball or something. So I'm wondering if they may just take this into the locker room, or if it's like a one read, then kind of throw it away type of play. That's what I always wonder when you have these you're down by 2 scores, really.
Yeah.
Look like, do they have enough players on the field? Because it looked like a player came on and then he went off. Yeah, it looks like I had to burn a timeout. I don't know if that's Coach Stump or somebody was not happy. Yeah, see, illegal procedure on the Atascocita. So I think somebody either came on until they didn't have enough players or they had too many, and he immediately went off. So, yeah, I don't know. They made 5 yards back now. I think Zion Brown has a good arm, but I don't know if he has a
probably not
really
able to get it to the end zone.
Yeah.
Maybe a hook and ladder, a little bit of trickery.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know.
I was about to say, I don't think this is going to be a Hail Mary per se. This might just be a. Oh, he's going to try something.
Oh, okay. Oh, ooh.
Are you going to get an untimed? Are you going to let that go? Yeah, they're going to let that go.
All
okay,
right.
all right. Ref's like it's halftime. Come on now.
Refs, they need their break too.
That's true.
They're running up and down the field the entire time. They don't get a break
They
like
work hard.
offenses and defenses. All right, well, we got, like you were talking about earlier, Mid-County Madness, right? We had PNG taking on Nederland, as we have Trevor Bullard and Jay Dunson on that call as they're joining us now. Guys, again, thank you so much for joining us, and it looks like a pretty entertaining ball game through the first half.
Yeah, I mean, JD, it looked like PNG defense was for real.
Yeah, for sure. They sure backed it up. They serious. Nederland having trouble all throughout the first half, move the ball at all, except for one play.
Yeah, they got a 71-yard touchdown with 1 second left in the half. So I guess a little bit of a momentum boost.
When you looked at PNG last year, this was a team that obviously went to state, and then they still struggled against Nederland. Does it look like a team that's not trying to overlook their arch rival again, like they did kind of last year maybe at times?
Yeah, I don't think so. And, if you look at the last couple of years these two teams have played, it's been a 1-point game, a 10-point game, which Nederland came back from being down 17 or scored 17 unanswered, and then a 1-point or 2-point game last year. So I don't even think it's them overlooking them. I just think that it's one of those rivalries where you just throw the records out the window and just let them play.
All right, Trevor. Trevor and Jay again. Thank you so much for joining us. Looked like it was maybe some tough to try and get the Wi-Fi going out there, but yeah, looks like a fun game so far. Mid-County Madness should be an entertaining second half. But of course, we're winding down to the end of the regular season. Of course, a lot of guys already made their commitments, but there are still a lot of pretty big-time recruits that have not made their commitment. And we're going to take a look at some of those guys now in the latest edition of Cruton Corner. Greg Powers, take it away.
Welcome back into Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight, and it's my favorite segment, the Cruton Corner. And we're diving right in this week with some heavy-hitting recruiting information. These are the top 5 uncommitted prospects in the Lone Star State in the 2024 cycle. And I'm going straight to number 1, and that's 5-star Silsbee wide receiver Draylon Miller, who is fresh off of a decommitment from Texas A&M. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in Draylon Miller's recruitment because he's got some of the heavy hitters really chasing him. He hasn't named really any favorites, or it's kind of hard to see what's really going on. But what he did do just hours before announcing his decommitment from the Aggies is he took an unofficial visit to LSU. So I'm watching the Tigers very closely. He's also got a visit scheduled for Colorado. Can Coach Prime crack the code in Silsbee and get that 5-star on the Buffaloes roster? It'll be very interesting to see what happens down the stretch as Draylon Miller is one of the hottest targets, not only in Texas, but the entire country. Looking down at number 2, you've heard the name Kobe Black before at Waco Conley, a 6-foot, 190-pound cornerback. He's a number 6 rated prospect in the Lone Star State, the number 1 rated cornerback prospect. He had all the top dogs chasing him as well. I'm really keeping a close eye on in-state schools like Texas and Texas A&M. Texas, not too far away from Waco. I would probably lean towards categorizing them as the favorite in Kobe Black's recruitment. But Ohio State and Alabama also have their hopes on trying to get a verbal commitment and a signature from him on a letter of intent when the early signing period comes in December. Kobe Black, one of the top uncommitted recruits in the entire country. Recent Boston College and DCTF 4-star wide receiver Josiah Martin from Denton Guyer is a prospect I love. He always puts up big numbers. He leads that offense in production. He's a guy that the quarterback can trust on every single down. He can play in the slot. He's a good outside receiver with ball tracking skills, a red zone threat. And you're going to see some top colleges go after him down the stretch. But I'm really keeping a close eye on SMU in that race to see if the Mustangs can secure another 4-star to power them into the P5 ranks as they're joining the ACC. Josiah Martin is a big-time target for Rhett Lashley and crew there in Dallas. Melissa, tight end, Jackson Ford, checking in at number 4. Recent decommitment from Oregon. I really like Jackson Ford. He's got quarterback experience, has experience playing on the defensive front. I really like what he brings to the table as a tight end. Melissa uses him as a traditional sniffer back, a guy who has to be extremely intelligent as he reads out blocks and decides who to block within that offensive scheme. I think he has the size to be a true inline tight end, and at 6'4", 230 pounds, he's going to be a red zone option to be feared wherever he decides to play in college. And then I've got a little bit of a sleeper at number 5, and that's Frisco Lone Star defensive end Jackson Lee. A true pin-your-ear back edge rushing type there at Frisco Lone Star. Jackson Lee is a player who Nebraska offered this week. Texas Tech had their eyes set on him being a preferred walk-on, but with opportunities coming in from Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers, you have to think that he's taken a serious look at where he's going to play his college ball. We'll just have to stay tuned and find out where all these top 5 recruits are going to end up playing in college. Back to y'all at the desk. Keep it locked right here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big-name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Well, welcome back to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, week number 10. We've talked about it all night long. We started the show early because we just have so much action to keep up with, some great games tonight. One of those games we're looking at back and forth, but at the moment, North Shore starting to run away with it at the halftime break as North Shore taking on Humboldt-Atascocita. We've got Gavin Moritz on the call for that one, who joins us now at the halftime break. North Shore with a couple of possession lead. Gavin, again, thank you so much for joining us, and it looks like the Mustangs were able to use a couple of quick scores to pad a nice lead going into half.
Yeah, guys, when you look at North Shore on the year, they're undefeated, so is Atascocita. The difference, though, tonight has been the North Shore defense. The first play from scrimmage for Atascocita, Zion Brown got stripped inside the 5. North Shore recovered at the 5-yard line. 4 straight run plays for DeAndre Hardman. Didn't get North Shore in the end zone. Atascocita took over from the 1. The next play, or a couple plays later, Atascocita tried to hand it off to Carday Mack. He was stopped in the end zone for a safety. North Shore sports the safety. They have a pick 6, courtesy of Devin Sanchez, the big-time junior corner recruit. And they also have a strip sack of Zion Brown as well. So, it's been the North Shore defense that's been the difference to me.
The one thing for me that I've been interested in was Caleb Bailey hasn't been run that much this year, at least on design runs. And, of course, one of their biggest runs came on that 53-yard touchdown. Did it look like Willie Gaston was maybe hiding a little bit of the offense? Because as we saw last year and the previous year, Caleb Bailey can run, but he hasn't really been used that much this year in that way.
And we talked about it all week. We look at Caleb Bailey as a guy, like you said, Ish, has been kind of a dual-threat quarterback. He's been really effective running the football. We haven't really seen that this year, and so far this game, they've had a couple design runs for him. They've leaned on DeAndre Hardman for most of it. But when Caleb Bailey's run, he's been effective. He's got a couple first downs picked up with his legs, and of course, the big-time 53-yard touchdown to kind of break it wide open. And I think when Caleb Bailey runs the football, I think he's one of the better dual-threat quarterbacks, not only in the state, but in the country.
Yeah. And lastly, or at least lastly for me, what's it going to take for Atascocita to kind of get back into this game? You mentioned Carday Mack not really being able to get it going. Torrey Blaylock kind of having a little bit of a tougher time. What do you think it's going to take from, is it going to be that line by Nate Kibble kind of clearing more space and kind of asserting their dominance in the trenches? Because it seems like North Shore has really been able to control their line of scrimmage on defense.
I think in order for Atascocita to get back in this game, guys, they're going to have to both limit the takeaways by North Shore defense, so kind of limit their turnovers, and then really just give Zion Brown a clean pocket. I mean, they've tried to run it. That hasn't really been working out. I'm not saying abandon the run game per se, but I think they need to open up the passing game a little bit more, and I think what's going to do that for him is keeping Zion Brown a clean pocket in front of him, cornerstone by the right tackle, the UT commit Nate Kibble, and then just let him cook, let him throw downfield to his receivers, Kyron Pate, Kyron T.C. Lee, Jelani Watkins, guys like that. He found Torrey Blaylock earlier in the first half for a wheel route touchdown, and that was kind of the biggest play so far for the Eagles besides the Zion Brown touchdown run. So I think if they give him a clean pocket, I think Atascocita can have a shot at trying to make this interesting.
All right, Gavin Moritz, again, thank you so much for joining us. Always love hearing from Gavin. Looks like that should be a fun second half as Atascocita trying to get back into things in quarters number 3 and 4. I know we've been talking about that game quite a bit, but I mean, North Shore just looking really good. As we take a look now at some more highlights, we got Klein Collins taking on Tomball as we're looking at some of these now. Again, just a packed slate of games tonight, week number 10. How about Tucker Parks? This is going to be an opportunity early on, but Tucker Parks able to find his man, Michael Wilson, as he gets a little bit of help. The blockers down the sideline and able to get in for the score. So a nice play early on for Klein Collins. They are up 10-3 over Tomball going into the second. This is going to be Parks again taking the snap. Little play action, plenty of time and space. And how about the arm strength of Parks? An absolute bomb to Elijah Boone, who's open for the touchdown. 17-3 in favor of Klein Collins. And this is the Tucker Parks show. I mean, he's just airing it out and dropping dimes. That time he connects with Michael Wilson for the touchdown score. 24-3 Klein Collins. Tucker Parks hat trick of touchdowns in the opening half, but this time trying to squeeze a little bit too narrow of a gap. It's intercepted by Greg Heckthorn as right there the interception for Tomball.
Jumping into Silsbee and Bridge City, this is going to be Michael Moshier. Great quarterback who finds another great receiver. The other guy, Ashton Cartwright, college coaches, if you're watching this, give this kid some offers. Playing opposite of Draylon Miller and doing an incredible job this year. It's going to be a handoff to Trey Kibbles now, still sticking with Silsbee here. In the second quarter, he's going to go almost untouched to the end zone as Silsbee is all over this one so far as we take a look at the D1, 2A, D1 scores across the state.
A little bit close, Stanford and Holly. Yes, there we go. Hallie. That one's close, but
I'm just messing with it. It's definitely Holly.
Oh, okay.
Trying to run back the state championship they won last year. Refugio taking care of business, and Timpson, of course, trying to get over that hump in the playoffs and trying to get back to the playoffs with Terry Bussey. As we take a look at 3A D2 here, looks like everybody more or less taking care of business. Hooks and DeKalb kind of the only close-ish score. Tidehaven and Bowling kind of keeping pretty close as well.
Yeah, and there's Gunther 63-0 over. I mean, that's nothing new that we see there, but yeah, so take a look at some of those scores. That's 3A Division II right there. But again, I mean, we got this week, and then we're closing out the regular season for week number 11 next Friday night. And then we start the march to AT&T Stadium. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just been a really exciting week number 10. And it sets up, like we're already seeing, a couple of big matchups next week, like McKinney taking on Prosper in week number 11. But let's take a look live into this game.
A 6-yard touchdown to Stelmazowski, and that will make it a 2-score game. 5:42 left to go, plenty of time.
You know, they still wanted that same play. They saw they liked it. All they did was fine-tune it to add a little more distractions, but they knew where they wanted to go.
Ford Stinson, 2 for 2 on the night for extra points, will come in to attempt his 3rd extra point of the game. Snap the hold, it's blocked.
That's the second
picked up
time.
by McKinney, and they're going to take it all the way for 2. DeAndre Shepard takes it all the way, and that'll make it 37-20 as they block the extra point for 2.
That's the second time it's been blocked, Ryan. That's a huge, what a killer move.
That is just a huge swing of momentum. Geyer getting on the board in the 4th, trying to make it a 2-possession game. And just like that, the block extra point taken all the way back for 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredible swing right there. They're trying to get back in this game, but yeah, that's an incredible swing to kind of take a little bit of momentum out for that score from Geyer.
Yep. We got another broadcaster that's at the halftime break now. It's Chase Snyder, who's on the call for Port Arthur Memorial and Barbers Hill. That is a 24-10 lead for Barbers Hill at the halftime break. Chase, thank you so much for joining us, and just kind of take us through what that opening half has been. Looks like a solid start for Barbers Hill.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth early on, but the main difference in this game has been the quarterback play for sure. Cody Fuentes has been nearly flawless with 2 touchdown passes. Kobe Stover has had 2 critical interceptions, both leading to Barbers Hill scoring drives. And then Stover missed a pass on 4th down and 5. Barbers Hill had a chance to score at the end of the half, but couldn't do so. Big stop by Port Arthur Memorial. Big second half team, so it's going to be interesting to see how they come out here in the second half.
Is this, you've seen this Barbers Hill team a couple times this year. Has this offense found, have you found a weakness yet? Because they seem to be able to run the ball. Cody Fuentes has been able to spread the ball around to everybody, it seems. Have you found a weakness in anybody being able to slow this team down on offense?
I really haven't, especially because the athletes that they have all across the field. It's like they have weapons all over the place. I'm sorry as I'm trying to go up against this Barbers Hill band leader, but they have athletes all over the place. They have 3 running backs led, of course, by Jaden Rodriguez. Evan Holguin gets a lot of carries as well. Landon Smith, their top target. Cooper Lucas, their top target. Brady Thompson, all get involved. Fuentes, only 3 interceptions coming into the game tonight and has 33 touchdowns overall in the season passing now. So I don't see any weaknesses.
So far, my last question is just over the job that Carl Absek's done now ending on his 2nd regular season at Barbers Hill. What have you, what did you know about this team before he got there versus now what they are, virtually on the verge of 8-1, potentially 9-1 closing out the regular season?
They haven't really missed a beat ever since Tom Westerberg left and Carl Absek took over. I mean, he's one of the best coaches in the state for a reason. Like you said, offensively, they don't really have many weaknesses. When I first saw them against LaPorte, they got gashed against the run. But tonight they've been all over it against Port Arthur Memorial and have gotten key stops, including the 2 turnovers I just mentioned earlier. So not only are they flying on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders on offense, but defensively as well. They've been rock solid and only getting better as the year goes on.
One last question. You're talking about Port Arthur being more of a second half team, and they've got their hands full because trying to get something going there in that second half, and you have a pretty good linebacker there in Miller Malone for Barbers Hill. That's tough to try and go against. How do you see Port Arthur, that offense, really getting a little bit of traction in that second half?
Well, the good news for Port Arthur Memorial is that they're going to get the ball to start the second half. I've been stunned that they haven't gotten many big plays. But like I said earlier, they usually get going in the second half for some reason. It's just one of those teams that they will beat you condition-wise. Like, they know how to wear you out in the fourth quarter specifically. They have a lot of speed themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised if Stover takes a couple shots here, especially in the fourth quarter. They're going to have to in order to get back into this game.
All right. Well, Chase Snyder, again, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy that second half. We'll see if Port Arthur can mount another big second half like they've been doing all season long. But at the moment, Barbers Hill, nice little lead there.
Yeah, no, I mean, Barbers Hill is, like what we mentioned, Cody Fuentes is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the state right now. The last game we saw, even though they lost to LaPorte, we mentioned, as you're seeing here, LaPorte kind of took command a little bit of that district standings. They will hold the tiebreaker over Barbers Hill. If Barbers Hill can hold on to this one and kind of give Port Arthur Memorial their first loss in district. Of course, Kingwood Park, of course, kind of holding on with New Caney Porter there for the last place spot. But if there's one best unit in this district, it's the Barbers Hill offense. But of course, their defense is kind of what's been biting them a little bit, as we saw against LaPorte last year. They really were, or a couple weeks ago, I should say, gashed on the ground. And if Port Arthur Memorial is going to get back into this, they may need to find something in the run game. As we come into a touchdown here, looks like Iowa Colony puts up some points on Bay City.
Yeah, we saw earlier Bay City forcing a fumble. They were able to eventually score on that ensuing drive. That was earlier in the night, but it's a nice score there for Iowa Colony. Looks like that'll be their first score of the night.
Yeah, low scoring
into the third quarter.
In the second half. Look, if you like defense, this is the game for you.
Yeah, well, we always see a few of those.
Oh, yeah.
Every week we see a couple of just defensive slugfest.
Yeah.
And Iowa Colony, that time on the slants, able to get into the end zone. And this game has been entertaining from the get-go. South Lake has it inside the 5 now.
Had his man look like he threw a little too low for him to turn the corner and get in the end zone, but inside the 5, looking to make this a 10-score game, or 10-point game, I should say.
10-score would be
10-score game,
yeah.
70-0 right now. No, make it a 10-point game if they can punch it in.
And again, Byron Nelson, they jumped out to, I believe it was a 27-3 lead in the third quarter, and South Lake creeping back. Byron Nelson did get another touchdown, but again, South Lake on the verge of answering yet again.
Yep. Looks like they're going to call a timeout here. Wonder if time was running out or they didn't get the right call in. Looks like there's about 4.5, just under 4.5 minutes to play in this one.
And again, we saw a couple of the shots of the stands. I mean, it looks absolutely packed on both sides. Those schools not very far from each other. So I'm sure that is a raucous atmosphere as we take a look at some of the scores now. 3A Division 1. Dale Hart keeping it close with Bushland 21-7.
How about Hitchcock having their hands full with Hallettsville right now?
They've got a lot of close scores. Winsboro, the only one who has been taking care of business, but everything else is pretty close, including a couple of scoreless games.
I believe Malakoff is, I just double-checked, they're up 7-0 right now. They just scored.
There we
score
go.
Just came in on Mejia. And then I believe that Brock Ponder, of course, Brock holding on to a pretty good, decent lead, about a roughly 2-score lead.
All right, so we're going back to this one, see if South Lake can punch it in, go into the air.
Try to go a throwback, and it looks like,
what
a sack.
What a play.
Oh, look at that pose, too. Arms across the body. They try to design the throwback, and I think, was that 4th down? That might have been 4th down. Man, that was a great play there. And a big stop with 4.5 minutes to go, and that is a turnover on downs.
That was Brandon Ulrich, number 95, who made that play for Byron Nelson.
Yeah, it looked like Graham Knowles was trying to go back to the throwback, roll out to the right, throw it out to the leaking receiver to the left, and they snuffed that one out. The pass, I mean, you can't scheme up against a pass rush like that. You're not going to drop a play that's going to be able to beat that sometimes.
Wow, so that might just
if they can hold on to the ball, I think they'll have to take some clock here. But a 17-point lead with just over 4 minutes now. It's starting to look a little dicey for South Lake Carroll. They're going to need some turnovers to get this one back in.
And I think I can say, as an alumni, and I got to Byron Nelson when it was only a few years old as a school, relatively new school. But this would
like
be
seeing your child.
Yeah, this would be no doubt the biggest win in that program's history to to beat South Lake, and like you said, the de facto district championship tonight.
100%.
They're in 6A. Byron Nelson. It's been entertaining.
And the other thing about winning a district title, is like, whenever it comes, whether it's this week, next week, or whenever they're presented the trophy, it's that first piece of gold, right? You see that, and like obviously you would love to keep winning by district title, area, regional court, things like that. But it's that first taste of success, and coaches love to latch onto that and say, "You like that?
Yeah,
let's keep doing that, right? Let's keep winning those, right? We can keep on getting golden footballs to hang up in the trophy case, right? Your dad brags about them as we see Iowa Colony taking another score. Look at that! I feel like they just scored like 10 seconds ago.
So they heard us talking about, hey, it's a low-scoring defensive game, and I will we'll show you. And they score in a hurry, and all of a sudden they take their first lead of the night.
Yeah, and this one is also pretty big district implications. Iowa Colony, I believe, leads the district right now. I think they're 4-0 right now. Bay City 3-1. So this one could be big for Iowa Colony to potentially kind of put this one more or less away. They have the tiebreak over Needville, who's in second place at 4-1. So this could be a district clinching game for them as well.
There's a big run there for Byron Nelson, the bottom of the screen. And on the other side, Denton Geyer seen a couple of uncharacteristic errors, couple of drops, a couple of open receivers not able to reel it in. But of course, McKinney, we saw block that extra point attempt, took it back for 2 to get momentum back in their favor. It looked like Geyer was trying to get back within a couple of scores in that game, but the season that McKinney's having just sets up for a very interesting showdown next week against Prosper.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I'm not the producer, but I'll just say keep tuned to Texas Live potentially for that one. I'm just gonna say, as we see Byron Nelson looking to pile things on here, as we jump back to McKinney and Geyer. Looks like Geyer got called for a penalty. Can be backed up a little bit. Past just shy of the 40. Just past the 40.
The start of the year for the OG fans of Texas football tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was the first 2 weeks. Geyer was with us, on this show.
Yeah.
And down to the wire every time.
Another pick.
Wow. Again, just uncharacteristic. But this is a very stout McKinney defense.
Man, they're physical. Yeah, I mean. Man, this is just 20 points. Holding Geyer to 20 points is not easy. Again, let me look up what this McKinney defense has been able to do this year consistently. I mean, again, Allen 31, Prosper Rock Hill last week 22, and then Longview 21. Those are the only teams that have scored over 20, right? Right now, Geyer, of course, is locked into that 20. They may punch in maybe a field goal or something, but that's 4 times all year, right? Wow. That teams have scored 20 or more on them. So this is a Lions defense that is embodying their head coach's mentality. Yep. Marcus Shavers, of course, definitely loves that hard-nosed football. So, again, this is going to be a fun team to keep track of once the 6A brackets come out.
Yeah, a big showdown with Prosper next week. Looking back over on the other side, Byron Nelson marching the ball already close to midfield, and I'd like to see that victory formation coming up for the Bobcats.
It looks like we're getting some pumping up the crowd a little bit. They know what's coming. It's a big moment, man. This is like you mentioned. I mean, this is establishing yourselves as the new, as kind of the new face of this district. Kind of taking down the big dog, South Lake Carroll.
Slaying the dragon.
There you go. Hey, look at that. I like that.
Yeah, South Lake always at the top, and that's going to be another good playoff run for South Lake. But yeah, for Byron Nelson, definitely will savor this one tonight.
This one, so I mean, obviously they're going to come out of District 4, 6A on top, and if they take care of business, yeah. There you go. Look at that.
That's pretty cool to see right there.
That's awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah, look, you got a lot of celebrating going on here. But of course, like the biggest, I think for me, it's not even the offense. I knew the offense was going to be really good, right? When I saw them against McKinney Boyd, it's that defense holding South Lake Carroll to 17 points, right? I knew they'd shown signs. I believe this is only. This is only the 3rd time this year that they've given up more than 17.
Wow.
But they haven't, again, a lot of teams who they were heavily favored against, right? As you're seeing, nice rushing the field.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, wow.
Bet you wish you were right there.
Yeah.
Just right there. But no, this is by far the toughest team on their schedule. A lot of teams that they're just on paper more talented than. And so it was like, okay, what happens when you face a team that can line up against you, and you look at the guy and he's as big as you, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I think is most impressive about this win, is that we know that there are stars on this Byron Nelson team, particularly on this defense, but the fact that they were able to do this to Graham Knowles, I believe he finished with 3 interceptions, right?
Yeah.
Guys like that, I mean, it's an incredible moment for them. So this is the game that they had definitely had circled when they realized that, hey, we're probably going to go undefeated until this game. So again, a massive win for them, and can't help but feel great for them.
Yeah, that's a very good win. Congratulations to the Bobcats on that big win over Southlake, staying undefeated. But yeah, we've got some more people to bring in. We got Matt Stepp joining us now out there, Mansfield Timberview game. So we think we got Matt with us now. All right, we got Matt right there. Thank you again so much for joining us. Just kind of take us through what the first half has been like.
Yeah, Mansfield Timberview and Richland here at Birdville Fine Arts Athletic Complex in North Richland Hills. We got, so far the weather is holding up, knock on wood. And we got a good one. Battle of unbeaten teams, both 8-0. 21-21 at the half. Mansfield Timberview scored 2 long touchdowns, or a long touchdown, and then scored on their second possession. I think he had 2 touchdowns in their first 6 offensive plays to take a 13-0 lead. Richland comes storming back. Deion Jones, a couple of long touchdown receptions, and take a 21-13 lead. And then Timberview with Jalen Woods scoring on a short touchdown run right before halftime with 16 seconds left, and Timberview gets a 2-point conversion. And we're knotted up at 21-21 going into the second half. You couldn't ask for anything more with 2 teams that are 8-0 going into this one.
Back to district championship game, if I'm not mistaken. So, in order for Richland to win this game or Timberview to win this game, it seemed back and forth so far. What do you think are the keys for both teams going into the second half?
So I think for Richland, it's containing the big plays. Timberview has gotten several big plays offensively. Cameron Bates, a Boise State commit, has been a real handful for the Richland secondary. If he gets loose, he is a problem for Timberview. For Richland. And Timberview's speed across the board has been an issue. So Richland really needs to keep things in front of them and try to limit Timberview's big plays. For Timberview, I think it's really just mistakes. Timberview's had several big penalties at key moments, a couple of key holding penalties that have brought back long runs, a couple of face masks, a couple of personal fouls, just things that self-inflicted wounds that I think they need to clean up in the second half if they want to pull this out. But I think for both these teams, it's been an interesting game because neither team has really been pushed all year. And so this is the first time they've played someone who I think is on their level. And so it's an interesting contrast to see how these two teams are reacting when you're lining up against someone who's able to punch back and can hit you in the mouth, where the teams, Timberview won last week 90-0, right? So they haven't been challenged most of the year. Same thing for Richland. So it's really interesting, these two teams. This is clearly the best 2 teams best team they've played all year.
Lastly from me, you mentioned obviously Timberview is number 3 in 5A D1 and Richland unranked, but of course 8-0 regardless. How much do they need this game, kind of both teams heading into the playoffs in 2 weeks? Like you mentioned, haven't played much, and it's like, okay, now here's playoff caliber teams that they're, if a team like Richland wants to kind of shock some people in the state, they're going to need to have these kind of bumps and bruises a little bit. How valuable do you think it is to play this game late in the year?
I think for both teams it's late. And I talked to both coaches pregame, and both of them kind of echoed it. They're like, we're really glad we're playing this game now because we're playing someone who's good enough to expose maybe some of our warts, and we've got a week to clean it up before we go into the playoffs, where you don't want to get your pants pulled down in the first round of the playoffs, and then you're airing up basketballs. You want to have those warts exposed now and be able to clean them up and kind of tighten things up before the playoffs. So I think this is beneficial for both teams. I think this is a bigger game for Richland because they don't have the playoff pedigree. We're talking about a Timberview team that went to the 4th round of the playoffs last year, lost to Longview in the regional final. A lot of these kids have been through those playoff battles. Richland lost in the 1st round of the playoffs last year. These kids don't have that playoff experience. So I think for Richland, this is a huge game for them to try to give them some confidence and momentum heading into the postseason.
All right, Matt Stepp, again, we always enjoy having you on. Thanks so much for joining us. That should be a entertaining second half.
All right. So, yeah, not much else to say about this game, but both 8-0. Of course, Timberview is the number 3 team in 5A D1, like I mentioned. But Richland, undefeated but unranked, right? And so they're still trying to knock their way into that top 10 in our rankings. And, of course, a win like this would obviously make some noise. But in particular, Stepp mentioned, schedules aren't exactly very difficult, right?
Yeah.
They're obviously the district schedule, they're by far the best teams, right? He mentioned the 90-0 win. I believe Richland beat Carrollton Turner 63-0 a couple weeks ago. So like this is by far the most challenging game for both teams, and so it couldn't come at a more opportune time when obviously next week, and then they got the playoffs, the bi-district round right after that.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how they make adjustments there in the second half. Should be fun to keep up with that second half. But again, we got some more highlights coming your way. What's been a jam-packed night of Texas high school football. We got Humboldt taking on Kingwood in the first half. We'll go to the second quarter as this is the quarterback handing it off to Marquez Davis, who goes all the way, nothing but green space in front of him, 64 yards to the house. It's a huge run for Marquez. Going to the other side now, Humboldt trying to get something going at the goal line. That was close back and forth, but it's a fumble by Ja'Cory Johnson. Kingwood defense gets it right there, and Kingwood with the ball. They have an opportunity, and then it's intercepted. So we're going back and forth here. Both defenses making some big stops. That was Johnny Smith, by the way, with the interception. So Humboldt gets the ball right back after that interception at the 15 as the turnovers go back and forth, and MacArthur Baker faking the handoff is able to connect with Robert Fields for the touchdown. Humboldt getting it back now as they move it down the field. They get a field goal opportunity, splitting the uprights. It's 18-14 at the half.
All right, let's go to Lago Vista and Wimberley. This is going to be Cody Stover getting things set off right here. Touchdown run from him to put the Texans up 7-0 early, but Lago Vista is going to come right back on the ensuing kickoff. On the ensuing kickoff, they're going to go right to, it's going to be Decker Sims, catches around the 25, and he's going to reverse the other side. He's going to beat the entire Wimberley coverage, get down the sidelines, and just like that, we're tied up. Lago Vista not letting Wimberley take care of them easily. But of course, we know this Wimberley offense is pretty deadly. This is going to be Chase Carson up the middle, on the left for an 18-yard touchdown, give the Texans a 14-7 lead in the first quarter. We're going to go to the second quarter. And of course, it's that guy right there, Cody Stover. Been a star all season long. He's going to drop back. He's going to run and show off the arm there. This is going to be Nolan Wada. He outran the camera. That's how fast he was right there. 40-yard completion for a first down. Move him in position to score. And of course, Cody Stover is going to help finish this one off. He's in the shotgun here. He's going to take it, roll left. Is just going to take it himself. Make a move on the safety. Look at that. Easy for the star man there from Wimberley. 20 to 17. As we now see Cody Stover again. He's going to take it now. It's commanding lead at halftime for the Texans. 27-7. All Texans right now over Lago Vista.
Taking a look now at the scores for a D2. We have Carthage.
Carthage holding, Van and very
Silsby as well.
As you see, Silsby kind of in a slugfest with Bridge City.
And we saw highlights from that game a little bit earlier. Yep. They're up by 7. So taking a look at some of those scores. Yeah, a little bit surprising, the 1 and 2 teams kind of slugging it out right now in the first half or so of those games. But so again, we were talking earlier, Byron Nelson, that big win over Southlake. And we've never done this before, but again, because we started a little bit early, the game started early.
Yep.
We're gonna go back. We're double dipping here. This is a Texas Football Tonight first, as we're gonna bring James Tritley and Alex Weister back in after that big win for Byron Nelson. And guys, we saw it on our screen there. First, I just want to ask about the atmosphere. You don't see, I don't think, a whole lot of rushing the field at high school games. But just take us through first. I want to ask about the atmosphere tonight there at NISD Stadium.
Yeah, if this wasn't like glass that I can't run through, I would have rushed the field. The unbelievable atmosphere here. The crowd was into it from the get-go, and they just continued. Every takeaway that Byron Nelson had, every scoring play, they were on their feet, and it carried over to the very end. This is unbelievable here.
For me, you know, that defense for Byron Nelson was, I don't want to say a question mark, but they hadn't played an offense that would be able to put up points like South Lake Carroll and Graham Knowles. He finishes with 3 interceptions. You know, just talk about the job that they were able to do and kind of making him uncomfortable, making him turn the ball over like he's not used to doing all year. You know, what did you see from the Byron Nelson defense this year, or this tonight?
Yeah, the Byron Nelson defense coming into this, looking at the list of commitments that they had, their secondary is absolutely loaded, but the defensive line is what really stood out. They did not allow South Lake Carroll to really get anything going besides like one drive in the third quarter, and that really allowed the secondary to fly around and make the plays that they did. And as you said, they didn't face great offense all year, but their defense is high level, and of course that shows with the commitments that they have, and it showed here tonight. They just could get nothing past them. They were just phenomenal.
Yeah. And lastly, you know, when it comes to the playoffs, obviously both these teams are going to be teams we're going to be talking about hopefully past Thanksgiving. But, you know, are you looking at two teams here who you think we're going to be potentially trying to punch their way to AT&T?
I'll let you start.
Oh, absolutely. South Lake Carroll, this isn't going to be a loss that tanks them. This is going to be something that molds them. They're going to learn from this. They're going to go back to the drawing board, figure out what went wrong. And Byron Nelson, they're just going to keep trying to play the brand of football that they have. They have a great quarterback. They have a great running back in Tucker James, who won our offensive player of the game. Yeah. He was phenomenal. It was 28 carries for 177 yards and a touchdown. He was amazing. The passing game, the running game is both there. The defense, both stopping the run and the pass, they play off of each other so well. They're a team that is really built to make a deep run in the playoffs.
And that defense is probably going to be the best thing that they've got going for them on their side. Their defense, the ability to stop South Lake Carroll as many times as they did, and as far as the takeaways went, that was kind of the reason this was what it was. Tucker James obviously was the offensive guy, but that defense, we're going to have to create a defensive award and give it to the entire defense for Byron Nelson.
Wow, well, it looked like it was a ton of fun to be a part of that game. Again, thank you so much for staying there a little bit later to chat with us on what the first time we've gone back for an end of the game live on the show. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your night. And yeah, again, I mean, that's going to be fun because you know both those teams are going to make some pretty good progress there in the postseason. Like Alex was saying, this is not a loss that's going to sink South Lake. It's just going to make them a little bit better.
I was about to say, Graham Knowles is not a quarterback who's going to be looking at this game saying, well, there goes that. Yeah. You know, he's going to look at this and say, all right, he's going to go into the film tomorrow. He's going to be like, okay, what went wrong? What was Byron Nelson able to do? That also maybe a top 3 defense he sees, like including the playoffs, right? It could be the best defense he sees all year. So it could just be like, hey, those guys just made some plays, and you got to brush that off and go to the next one. What were they able to do? Maybe did I make a throw or decision that was a little rushed? Who knows? But like he mentioned, I like that he mentioned that it's not going to really get to South Lake Carroll, right? They're not used to losing in district, but they know that what they want is still ahead to play for. As we see, PNG looking to take a commanding lead here in Mid-County Madness, which is something, and they do. Something not usually.
Usually one-score games,
right? Yeah, usually one-score games here.
What was that stat? Something like 40?
46 of the previous 99. God. So almost half the games were I mean, again, that is a rivalry, right? And that's not including like how close, 10 points still counts as double digits, but it's not a lopsided game,
Going back to this one, of course, Atascocita trying to get back into it. It was a couple of quick strikes from North Shore, and Atascocita, well, they got a quick strike of their own. Yeah, it didn't take long into the third quarter. Yeah, we were talking, I believe, with Gavin in that game. He's talking about how Atascocita was getting the ball to start the second half, and they don't waste a whole lot of time getting back into the end zone.
Not at all. That looked like that was Kyron Lee on the reception from Zion Brown. As we see here, Iowa Colony retaking the lead. Looks like against Bay City. Of course, they're trying to put a cap on this district as well.
Of course, when we mentioned this one was a defensive battle, and the offenses decide to prove us wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and again, welcome. This has been a lot of fun on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We're taking a look at some of the, what's just been really exciting this weekend, or this week, going now into week number 10. as we now apologize, but Ashley Pickle was able to sit down with Carly Cameron, I beg your pardon, the Crosby Director of Football Operations, as she was able to chat with Carly earlier this week.
So I was a daughter to a Texas high school football coach. My first football game was at 3 weeks old, and if I ever wanted to spend time with my dad, it was like in the film room or watching film at the house or being around football all the time. So it was something I loved.
For coaches, players, fans, and communities, the love for Texas high school football is contagious. For Callie Cameron, it's a lifestyle.
Coach Willis I always said if I got the opportunity to work for Coach Willis, I was going to take it with no hesitation. And I did. And luckily for me, it happened to be my alma mater. So being here means a little bit extra for me, means a little bit more for me that I get to help kids in the same situation that I was at this high school. I've always kind of been involved in recruiting from really an all sports standpoint. So whenever he called and we talked and started looking at director of football operations and things of that avenue, I knew I loved it, and I knew like, hey, this is something like I can do and I can excel in, and that I can kind of break way for women in this sport.
Paving a path for women was the goal, which meant the first order of business was simple: build a team of assistants.
My dad's the head coach, of course, so I was the little girl on the sideline doing cartwheels, watching my dad coach. I knew it from the beginning that I was going to love football.
I mean, it's really inclusive, and my daughter, of course, is one of those. And really, when I added the position at Colleyville Heritage, a part of me had that in mind. But Malia's always wanted to coach football. Well, actually, she wanted to play football, and then she got into dance. But she did want to be a part of the coaching and be around the football program. So for me, it was perfect to have Callie come here and really train Malia, because I think more and more you're going to see that opportunity become available at high schools. I've had over 20 high school coaches reach out to me, ask me about how to structure that position. So I think we're going to see that trend continue to happen in Texas high school football, and hopefully one day Malia Willis will be one of those.
My advice is not to ever be limited. Not to be ever limited because you're a female in sports, not to ever be limited because it's football. That you can make a difference and you can make waves in this coaching field, and to do it just because it's unordinary doesn't mean it's not something that we need and we can do.
And just like the players on the field, Coach Cam and her team have their work cut out for them.
They really help a lot. First of all, they're responsible for filming all the practices. So, they fly the drones and do all those things. That's really helpful. They also help Callie. They set up the officials' locker room, before the games. They help Callie with all her duties. They run the scoreboard at the stadium for the sub-varsity games. So they do a lot around the football program. They're getting a lot of education as far as how football operations work.
It's exhausting. I'm not gonna lie. It can be so exhausting, but I love it. I wouldn't want to do anything else. Watching kids go to the next level and succeed, and having all the tools to make it academically, athletically, financially, and just finding the right fit for them it's ultimately what I love to do.
Not only is she the DFO for our football program, really handling all the football operations, all the things as a head coach you really don't have time to really keep your hands on. She also is a recruiting director for the district, so that's an invaluable position in my mind. She's really educated. In fact, she's so good at what she does. Honest Game, which is a NCAA recruiting, basically a supplement to what you do as far as your counselors and providing you with information about how to get kids qualified for NCAA competition. Well, she's so good at it, they actually granted us that program for this year. So we're getting to use it on a trial basis, and basically they're getting to use her as a model to study about how to do it. So it's incredibly helpful for all the kids here, boys and girls sports both. As far as getting them eligible NCAA-wise, she really stays on top of that. And like I said, every position, every high school really needs that to make sure kids are on track, to be eligible if they do get a scholarship opportunity.
Another key initiative: convenience of sharing student-athletes information with college coaches.
So it's just pretty much a silicone bracelet, and how Coach Camp explained it to me was whenever you have your bracelet on, it's waterproof, you can wear it while you play, it's durable. So when you see a coach, all you do is you get their phone out and you kind of just tap it on the camera or the backside, and it'll pop up a QR code, and you tap on it, and it takes you to a link, and you can see all of your accolades and your GPA and your eligibility and highlight videos. It's pretty cool.
But Coach Cam's success of getting student athletes to compete at the next level is far from her only impact.
It's really great. I enjoy knowing that I have Callie behind my back, and that if I want to be a DFO in college, I can do that because I have her to give me that good input to other coaches, and it's really shown me that I can pretty much do whatever I want to do. I love my team.
It feels nice. It feels like I have people in my corner. It feels safe, reliable.
I think that it's a really big deal to me because a lot of people don't believe that girls can really be a part of guy sports, but I think that anybody can, and it's really cool to see all of us doing this because it shows that we're not alone.
She's paving the way for me.
But Coach Cam will be the first one to admit it's actually the girls that are impacting her.
These girls are so important to me because they're able to be successful in football and kind of open avenues for other high school girls to show what they can do in football. And after this, if that's what they choose to do, if they choose to go do it in college or high school, that they're going to be ready for it and they're going to be amazing, and that they're setting an example for other schools that I hope follow in this.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Welcome back to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Hey, we got a lot of firsts tonight, Ish.
Yep.
We got our first ever green screen segment because we've got a lot of chaos around the Lone Star State in terms of we've got this week and next week to determine all the playoff spots and all that, district winners, everything. We were talking about Snapshot Day a little bit earlier, who's going where in realignment. But we're looking at some playoff implications, and of course we have our spotlight games, but we want to give you a look at some of those other games to watch that maybe aren't our spotlight games, but some chaos in some other divisions, some other districts that we haven't covered. So here's the first one in 3-3 and 3A, 3 Division 1. Yep. This is a good one, Jim Ned and Vernon. A lot of chaos in this game tonight.
Yeah, as you're saying, the winner likely secures their second seed in this district. And for those that don't know, seeding matters, right? It has to do with who you play from the other districts, right? If you're from a district who is not as deep as the one you're going to meet in by district or area, you know, it's going to be one of those scenarios where you're kind of playing for kind of who you're going to play in the next round.
Yeah. So, yeah, that one's going to be really fun. But, again, that's just one of the games with a lot of playoff implication. We're taking a look now at Haley and Stamford. This is a big one. Holly right here. A lot of chaos to this one in 4A. Let's take a little bit of a closer look on this one.
This one's in 2A, actually.
Oh, 2A. Oh,
Holly, the defending state champion, is Holly, the defending state champion, is trying to secure a district championship, of course, like you said. And like I mentioned, it's basically the first time. This is the first piece of gold, right, that you can possibly get to on their way back to AT&T.
All right, yeah, so again, it's really cool. We get back now to 5A, taking a look at this one. We got Crandall and Denison. Let's take a look. What's the scenario in this one?
So this one, all right, so Denison needs this one to get in, right? They lose and they're out. They lost to Terrell, which then ties them for 4th. Crandall moves one step into the 3rd seed with a win. So this one has like literal postseason implications on this one. And so what's going to happen is, so they need this one, basically, Denison, to stay in the race and to kind of make this one, to keep their season alive.
Yeah, so this is the first, that was the first like kind of true elimination game.
I was about to say, one of them is district title, one of them is a 2nd seed, and this one's more or less actually to keep their season alive.
And this next one, elimination game as well. A couple of Round Rock teams. You have McNeil and Stony Point. Elimination for one of these teams. What else is at stake?
All right, so Scott Hermes has, for those that don't know around the Austin area, Scott Hermes has done one of the best jobs in the state, in my opinion. He was hired in 2020, and McNeil has not made the playoffs since 2004, right? And so this could be the first time that they could do that. They beat Round Rock for the first time since 2009, earlier this season. So if they win this, they really have a good chance to get in. I believe they will get in, but they have a I mentioned that 17-0 win over Round Rock earlier in the season. And also, something off the field, Vandergrift possibly goes to Division 1. Of course, Vandergrift was the runner-ups in Division 2 last year. They go possibly Division 1 if McNeil gets in.
All right, wow. So, again, a lot to keep track of. I think we've got one more with, some implication. Maybe not. I thought we had another one. But, man, it's so cool. It's just so much chaos. It's a lot of fun keeping a look at all that. But, yeah, there we go. That's a couple of those other games with some big implications on the line, those showdowns tonight. But, again, we'll keep a look. We got some action behind us. We'll stick with it as you're watching a packed week number 10 of Texas Football Tonight.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Welcome back to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight-ish. We now take a look at the 4A Division I scores. Of course, we were talking about Iowa Colony and Bay City.
Yep, still tied at 21.
Looked like a defensive struggle. The offense is waking up there in the second half, but take a look at some of those other scores across 4A D1.
Yeah, Paris keeping it close with Anna, number 3 Anna right now. Bernie, of course, the team that I want to keep track of. Haven't had a chance to see them myself in person, but of course they were state runner-ups last year in 4A D1. Stephenville getting some tough love from Alvarado. Of course, they had a big win over China Spring last week, and then Andrews giving Brownwood a tough time as well.
Yeah, so those are some of the scores, the top teams across 4A D1. We got some more highlights for you to run right now, though, of course, every Friday night. Chaos here in the studios, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We got Strake Jesuit and Pearland. We were looking at this one earlier. All Pearland in the second quarter as we go now into the third. That was a big hit that time in the backfield. Pearland with the ball. This is Cole Morkotsky. We looked at him earlier, and a deep ball connecting with Patrick Bridges. And Pearland puts up 49 points in the going into now the third quarter. And they just keep on going, but this time it's Jesuits. It's Hager Davis hauling it in through traffic with a very impressive catch for that wide receiver. Now going into the fourth straight, Jesuit trying to get something going on fourth down. Almost an interception, but it's all Pearland right now. 49-7 in that game.
Looks like Barbers Hill's pulled away from PA Memorial there, the top right. And it looks like PNG's done the same to their arch rival Nederland there.
Now perhaps not a one-score game.
Yeah, as we see our first look into Klein Kane and Waller tonight.
That's been a fun one, 28 all at the third quarter of play. But yeah, it's always a lot of fun when you start to get into kind of this last hour, and some of these games kind of getting out of hand. But
sure.
We always do get a few that come down to always seems like the last play or so.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, Barbers Hill, like you said, kind of running away with that one. Silsby up 20-7 over Bridge City there in the third.
I think there's still, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's still a scenario that Waller will be able to get. I know they're 1-4 right now, but they're tied, of course, with Klein Kane at 3-2. 3-2, I believe they're holding on to that. Klein Kane is holding on to that last place spot, I think. I have to know the specifics, but I do think there is still like an outside chance right now that Waller could. They'll need some help, but I think there's some outside chance they'd be able to sneak into the playoffs.
And again, this one, the offense is waking up in the second half.
How about
and
Bay City?
That's a big one for Bay City. Of course, we saw earlier a big play by their defense, and the offense has been picking things up, and that time a big pitch and catch to get inside the red zone there in the fourth. So Bay City again trying to reclaim their lead, as this one's been back and forth. Both teams have had a lead at some point, and then always a response back and forth. But Bay City in the fourth trying to get the latest lead. Check back on that later as Barbers Hill, Port Arthur Memorial. Barbers Hill with the ball in plus territory in the third, trying to add on. And how about this rumbling run? Oh, is he going to go all the way?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Man.
Just breaking through that defensive line. That's a rough and tumble run for 6 points for Barbers Hill.
How about that? I mean, I asked Chase, is there a weakness? That was Jaden Rodriguez, I should mention, on that run. Is there a weakness in this Barbers Hill offense? And he said no, and it looks like both running and the passing game as Klein Kane, it looks like they're going to retake the lead here on a long run.
That's back-to-back big runs we see here on the show. Big time for Klein Kane to go up now 34-28 in the third.
By the way, I should mention that Duncanville DeSoto game that was canceled, I believe that is moved to 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I believe that was the confirmation on that one. So yeah, that one unfortunately did get canceled. But they are playing that one tomorrow.
I mean, I know we haven't been able to talk about that, but it's right here, Bay City getting back on the board, getting their lead back. So a big score for Bay City in the fourth quarter, but going to that game, I guess now tomorrow. I mean, what are your keys to that one? Because I was
about to say,
it's gonna be huge.
You get yourself hyped up for this one, and then it gets canceled. You got to push it off for one more day. I mean, I'm interested in seeing how that Duncanville or that DeSoto offensive and defensive line deal with Duncanville. Right? They've always been the big bully on the block, and all year, even against South Oak Cliff, they were kind of able to impose their physicality. But as we know with Duncanville, that defensive line in particular, with Alex January and Colin Simmons, I mean, two of the best defensive linemen in the state. Can DeSoto give DJ Bailey the time needed to throw the ball? And if they can't, it's going to be Duncanville's game. And of course, for DeSoto, they have the playmakers to be able to do that on the outside. But are they going to have the time to develop the routes down the field? Offensively, I mean, I think it's just slowing down Duncanville, right? You have Caden Durham, you have Keelan Russell, you have DeCorian Moore. It's just probably keeping them off the field a little bit. You're probably going to take some hits, big play-wise. It's natural. I think anybody is in the state's going to take some, but it's about being able to dish your own haymakers back at that defense.
Yeah, that's going to, again, disappointing that we're not able to see that tonight to kind of cap off our big slate of showdown games, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch tomorrow. And just needed to get your thoughts on that because we weren't able to dive into it.
Sure.
Looking at some of those games now, but we got some more highlights. We have Austin taking on Lake Travis. Last time we checked in on this, it was all Lake Travis going again. I mean, 38-0, and this time is Chaston Ditta finding Dylan Kohlers near the goal line. Lake Travis makes it a 45-0 game in the third quarter. Now Ryan Mikelwitz gets unblocked off of the edge, and a big defensive play for Lake Travis, doing it on both sides, of course. Austin is able to get a sack there, as that's going to be Andrew Nelson for Austin High getting the sack, and then staying in the third, Bryson Batts fielding the punt for Austin High. He's going to go over toward the left, trying to get some blockers, and then he's got the Jets going. And that's going to be a nice return, touchdown on the punt return. Makes it 45-7. Not much going for Austin High's way, but you get a sack, force the punt, and there's something. You get the punt return for the touchdown.
Yeah.
We're just taking a look back at this one.
Oh, man, really putting it on now. Whew.
Now you're talking about trying to make their way back to Arlington, and a big statement, like you said. You throw the records out with this showdown. We were talking earlier about Spirit Week. These two schools don't like each other. It always seems to be a very close game, and PNG is making a statement tonight.
Yeah, it looks like that was Blair Chattingnear on the run there. As you see, PNG loves to run the ball. Of course, I mentioned Nguyen, their go-to running back there. Isaiah Nguyen, I should say, their go-to running back. He was their big back last year that helped carry them to state, of course, with Crippen at quarterback, who's no longer there. He graduated. So they've gone a little bit more on Nguyen's back, and I just mentioned guys like Chattingnear, who just scored that run right there. Definitely run heavy, and then of course Nederland a little bit more balance, but not too much more. Still leaning run their way as well.
taking a look now at some of the 5A D2 scores. Melissa going up big on Princeton, but South Oak Cliff and Dallas Wilson, has that one been postponed?
Looks like that one is suspended.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just checking that one out right now. Looks like Midlothian Heritage, of course, having some trouble with Arlington Seguin, but that one I think that one final, but they were able to take care of business and get that one. So, of course, we've mentioned Mid County Madness there at the top right. Of course, if you want to finish that one out, you can subscribe to TexasFootball.com or Texan Live as well.
Yeah, and well, this would be the perfect night to. Obviously, we're doing our best to keep the guys, everyone at home, updated on all the action. But for a slate like this, and talking and looking ahead to some of those games next week to close out the regular season, yeah, the Texan Live subscription definitely in your best interest if you were a big high school football fan. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on all the action here, but. Yeah, I mean, for the rest of this week and going into the next week, that'll be a lot of fun. So now we take you live on the call for this game between Klein Cain and Waller.
Second and 8 coming up. Drops. Duncan looking. Pressure coming. Is it taken down for the sack? That's a big loss, too, because that's back at the 21. It'll be third and long. Just under a minute left here in the third quarter. Third and 17 coming up here for the Bulldogs, but I think we got a timeout first, and we do. This timeout brought to you by City of Katy, small town charm, big city convenience. Visit cityofkaty.com to learn more or schedule your visits today. We'll be right back here on Texan Live after this.
The men and women who drive.
All right, so again, it's been a lot of fun. That's a pretty good game. We saw the big score just a little bit ago. But, what are some takeaways? I know we're not wrapping up right now, but we've been on a little bit longer. Yeah. We started early. I mean, just what are some takeaways that have really stood out to you with some of these big games? Obviously, we talked at length with South Lake and Byron Nelson, but some other ones that have really stood out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say North Shore, that one's a little bit not surprising to me, but I thought Atascocita would have a little bit more for them. It looked like this would be the year that they'd be able to really challenge, and I'd say like kind of, I don't say kind of supplant them, but definitely this would be I thought their best shot potentially at getting North Shore, but it looks like North Shore just kind of just has their number, unfortunately. It looks like on the trenches, they're just able to kind of, actually not even really the trenches, it's been just kind of the individual playmakers that are just able to get things done. We mentioned it kind of started with that long run from Caleb Bailey earlier, where it's like, okay,
finally getting him going
right, yeah,
in the run attack.
It was kind of like those kind of things as opposed to like North Shore necessarily having the big advantage in the trench. It's more about just the individual playmakers that they've been able to kind of put on islands and kind of let do their own thing. So it's been a little bit of a disappointment, of a letdown. Definitely if you're a Atascocita fan, you probably feel the same way.
Yeah.
Probably felt this was the team that was going to beat North Shore. But yeah, I mean, again, it is what it is. But Prosper, of course, that was one that wasn't a spotlight game, but that was one that just like the implications of that game, and now of course setting up McKinney next week, right? That's going to be an incredible game. McKinney kind of keeping their great season going as well. So definitely, I would say like the North Shore Atascocita game, but also the McKinney Geyer game as well. I think that one really proved to me that McKinney, I think, is like really, really up their ceiling from I think what I thought it was last year, which is already pretty high.
And we're going to get a big score here from Waller in the third quarter. So again, that one just keeps going back and forth. Neither team can get some separation in that game.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at Silsbee a little bit earlier. They are up 13 with the ball in the third as we take a look now at the 5A D1 scores. Taking a look at a few of those. Granbury hanging on there with Red Oak. And everything else.
Manville and Fulshire up there hanging on.
How about Richland and Mansfield Timberview?
Man, yeah, they're really.
That was tied 21 at the half when we were talking to Matt Stepp.
Yep, I mean, of course, this one's a de facto district title game, essentially. Richland, don't get too surprised by the unranking. They're also 8-0, right? These are two 8-0 teams going at it. So, of course, yes, the number 3 team in Richland will probably be in the top rankings next week after this, if they can hold on to this one. But, yeah, this is a battle of unbeatens. This isn't necessarily a winless team beating Mansfield Timberview.
Yeah.
But, of course, yeah, Fulshire and Manville as well in a close one.
Yeah, and again, taking a look at some of our other spotlight games, we saw Barbers Hill starting to run away with it in that contest. Again, Silsby right there, PNG. I mean, that's 41 points for them now. It's a pretty impressive showing for them against their bitter rival. And that they'll win the 100th showdown between those two teams. So that's got to feel pretty good there for PNG.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, anytime you can beat your rival, but also like a commanding win, knowing how rare those are. Right, the commanding type of win where it's like, all right, now that's all the bragging rights you need heading into the next year.
I'm sure the what were you talking? What was the official name during that one day for Spirit
Nerd
Week?
Day.
Nerd Day.
Well, they call it Nerd Day. Yeah.
Add a little more fuel to that fire next year for both those teams.
Exactly.
Going into that one, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. As now we'll take a look, just kind of sticking here with some of these games. It's been a lot of fun, but yeah, Silsby right there. That one's still a close one with Bridge City in the third, but again,
was that a 2-touchdown score? Two touchdown lead, I should say.
Yeah, it looks like 20-7 on that one.
Bridge City holding on, trying to hold on. Of course, it feels like Silsby's always on the cusp of kind of making it, a wider lead, but it's kind of why you want to take advantage when you can of your scoring opportunities.
And they'll be moved back into their own territory. Bridge City will, looks like, after that penalty. Trying to make it a one-score game, still in the third, so still lots of time. And trying to get something going, at least on this drive. So again, taking a look to see if Bridge City can get something going, scrambling, yeah. Oh, what a throw and double coverage.
Yeah, that was right on the money there. Like a little scooping, a little Ezekiel Elliott sign there from the receiver.
Taking a look now at some of the scores. 6A, of course, that marquee matchup, Duncanville DeSoto, postponed, you said, to 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon?
2 o'clock tomorrow, yes.
All right, and then, of course, Byron Nelson, the big win over Southlake. North Shore making it look easy tonight. In a little bit surprising fashion over Atascocita.
Yeah, looks like everybody else more or less taking care of business. Of course, Westlake over Bowie, and then, of course, Katy dominating Seven Lakes and just kind of rolling with that district, it looks like.
So all of that sets up, of course, we were talking about how exciting this week is, but we can talk about that McKinney game going against Prosper next week.
Jordan is now, I believe, in a
must-win situation. After a few weeks ago, looked like, hey, they might be the new team to, with a target on their back.
Yeah.
But, so that sets up what should be every week 11 at Texas High School football is always exciting, but just a little bit extra with some of these finals tonight. And, of course, already kind of asked anything else to wrap things up tonight. I know we're starting a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But, anything else from tonight?
No, like this, we mentioned these last 2 weeks have been kind of setting up what could be a chaotic week next week, right? And it's looked like it's building up to that, right? I mentioned McKinney versus Geyer. Of course, Katy Jordan now has to beat Katy Morton Ranch or potentially hope that Katy Cinco Ranch loses next week, right? And so, again, those are games that you're going to be able to keep track on Texan Live. If you're not subscribed, if you're a free watcher on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or on Texan Live, free subscriber, or watching us right now, please subscribe. I mentioned some of the games that are going to get moved around as well. We'll be all over that. I know our producers are doing a very good job of making sure that all those games that are scheduled, rescheduled, kind of postponed, all that stuff, we're on it, right? They're going to have people covering those games as needed. So if you're not subscribing, TexanLive.com, TexasFootball.com/subscribe. If you're tired of listening to us, if you want to go back and watch any of the games that we talked about today, got one more week in the regular season, and then it's pure fun. All of it matters after that. So, yeah, that's kind of my last pitch for tonight.
Well, hey, let's do it again this time next week.
I was about to say same time next week, but probably not same time. Probably like
a
normal
little bit,
time.
just a little bit later. Yeah, back to 7:30, I'm sure, next week. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us for week number 10. For our producers, Mallory Hartley and Ashley Pickle, our director, Seth Biley, and for Johnson, this is Nick Laupia saying good night and enjoy your weekend. And hey, go Rangers.